Awesome. Hey, Natalie, how are you?
I'm great.
Good.
I'm happy to be here with you. Thanks for doing this.
This is fun. I honestly, this is what I do for not just for a living, but for fun. I really do like setting these things up. Real quick, for everybody that's watching, Natalie signed up with us this week, and what we want to do is go through an entire process, soup to nuts. If you're an agency that offers calling services, we're going to show you how to set up the perfect system inside of Hot Prospector. It's going to make that such a breeze and help you save a bunch of money on employee expenses and give your clients better services and all that good stuff. And Natalie has agreed to be open to the world, let everybody see what you're doing. Natalie, could you tell everybody just a little bit about you and like how did you get into this business?
Sure. So I currently run an appointment setting agency. We primarily work for MedSpas, but I got into this about a year ago. I had been a librarian for 17 years and I wanted to make a transition to having my own company. And I started off like offering virtual assistant services to small businesses. And I was in a Facebook group and someone was like asking for help. And I got on a call and she was like, can you start tomorrow? And I've worked every day since then. I started scheduling appointments myself for an owner that had two med spas. And now I manage a team and we schedule appointments for 87 locations.
That's insane. 87 clients?
Location. So some
Okay.
owners will have some people have one spa, sometimes they have three, sometimes they have 50.
Okay. So 87 locations. That's a lot to do inside of high level. So you're using high level as your software, or they're using high level, right?
So I currently work for multiple marketing agencies as the appointment setter for their clients. And so I'm working across multiple Go High Level agency instances, which is something that I'm really excited about bringing together under Hot Prospector because it's also a challenge for my team. Not only do they have to switch between sub accounts, they also have to switch between GHL accounts.
That is definitely a challenge. Before we had this system in place, we did something very similar to what you're doing for a Cairo agency, a marketing agency that was in the Cairo space, and it was very difficult. That's why this whole thing was built out. Can you talk about the business itself? I know you said you were a librarian for a long time, so transitioning from being a librarian to agency owner, that's a big jump. Some people probably who are even thinking of starting their own business watching this, or even agencies that have been doing ads as a service only, going from that to this, what could you say about it?
It has been really challenging, but I think that's what makes it fun. I love learning. I love learning all these tools. I think the skills that I had that have been most transferable was I was a manager. So I had lots of experience interviewing, hiring, recruiting people. And that's still my primary focus is to be able to hire enough talent and the right people to do the job where like they're happy and successful and we're getting great results for our clients. And so that part is what's familiar to me. It's like running the small business part and sales. I hadn't done sales before being a librarian, but I think I like to help people. And so I think that's something I see with you is as soon as you talk to someone and you're familiar with their problem and you can help them, it's really easy and it's fun and it's exciting because you can make a big difference for them.
You hit the nail on the head, Natalie. I think everybody looks at sales like you got to be some used car salesman type of personality that is just looking to make a buck off of everybody. But if you genuinely have something that people need and you can help them, it's your duty, I say, to be able to get it to them, right? Like you should do everything you can to make sure that they get that. And
Mm-hmm.
that's really, I love the way that you explain that. As far as like the opportunity side of things, like money wise, how do you, and I know you have all of your agents are in the US, which is most people are hiring offshore and then outsourcing that way. What are your thoughts on that? And then like how are you, because I know you do US based, like
Mm-hmm.
how are you profitable?
Mm-hmm. So I've over the past year, and I think this is one of the challenges is there are of course, I looked at what other agencies were, other marketing companies that include appointment setting, other agencies that just do appointment setting like I do. And there are multiple successful models, right? So there are lots of different ways you can do this and be successful. And I tried them all out, right? I tried having hourly callers. I tried having separate DM setters and callers. I tried different staffing models. And I think that it's coming, but obviously like the clear measurable of whether something is working is like our conversion rates, right? Our goal is to book appointments for our clients and get the highest number of appointments from the leads as possible. No matter what model I was using, that's what I can see if it's working. And so we get the best results with US-based callers. And it's not that I don't keep testing that. And obviously I know you have AI resources that I'm also interested in using and supplementing, but it's like finding how to make all of those things fit together. Yeah. So
So,
I don't know if I'm still trying to find my perfect, and I also don't know if I'll ever be done, right? Because
mhm.
there's new resources, new technology. Like as soon as something new comes out, you're like, can I use this? Will this make us more effective? So
You're absolutely right. That's such a true statement, right? Nothing ever stops changing, and you should never stop looking for the best solutions out there. So as far as these agents are concerned, like you've tried both. You said you've had offshore
mhm.
remote offshore talent, and you've had the onshore agents, or you have the onshore shore
Mhm.
agents now. What's the big difference? What do you think is the thing that makes U.S. based agents such a better value?
I think the biggest difference that in my staff, the biggest change I made in my staffing, so recruiting people is just like advertising, right? You have a headline, you have copy, you have where you're advertising, like your audience. And so we also keep tweaking those things and seeing what happens with the number of applicants we get, the quality of those applicants. So that's my mindset. And so a big change that we made was having hourly appointment setters to commission-based appointment setters. And so it changed two key things. It changed the type of people that apply for the job. So appointment setters, oftentimes it's like maybe somebody that had worked at the front desk of a salon, or they had worked at the front desk of a dental office or medical office, and they were familiar with scheduling appointments, but they don't necessarily have a sales background, right? So as soon as I change to hiring commission-based setters, I get women that have sold solar, insurance, retail, restaurants. You just get a completely different applicant and background and experience, and they know what it takes and they're willing to do it as well. So someone that's hourly, they want to clock in and clock out and walk away, whereas the people that have sales experience and they're getting paid on commission, they're much more willing to work across the day, throughout the day, check in, follow up, just more tenacious.
That, I didn't even know. You surprised me just now. I did not know that was the model that you have, and that's again, that's perfect. But you're 100% right. If you have people who just clock in, clock out, they have no benefit on the other side of conversion, then what's the thing that's going to push them to try to get those extra appointments? So how do you do that model? Like, how do you compensate? I'm just you. I wasn't expecting you to say this, so it threw me for a little bit of. It took me off guard. So
I run
how do you
multiple
pay
models
them?
right now. Like
Okay, well,
yeah.
which is normal, by the
So,
way.
okay.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
all do.
and it's because it is challenging to balance, like clients have a really broad spectrum of needs, which varies based on like how much they're spending on ads. So we primarily are following up with social media marketing ads, right? Google, Facebook ads. So I have clients that spend $1,500 to $15,000. And so their needs are different and what they're willing to pay for. And that's why I have to have different options.
So give it like just an idea of the best. I know you've tried a bunch and you probably have an opinion on which one seems to be the best for both you and the client. Which one do you feel seems to be performing the best for both of you?
There's also other variables, not to make things more
No,
complicated,
that's
but it
fine. Look,
also,
I appreciate that, and that's really good to
okay,
hear.
it also depends on the offers, right? So are you booking free consultations, free appointments, or are you requiring a deposit, or are you selling prepaid services? So they're all going to have different conversion rates and different needs.
Especially with like MedSpa, I have some clients that do what you do, and they're
Mm-hmm.
MedSpa experts. So one guy came from the realm of selling the equipment
Mm-hmm.
to the MedSpa lasers and stuff, which are like
Yeah.
super expensive, high-end sales guy. Then
Mm-hmm.
you have another guy who has a MedSpa, who owns a MedSpa, and they partnered together and
Mm-hmm.
created an agency. Ads is not really their forte so much. They're good at it. They can do it. But their
Mm-hmm.
big thing that they're really good at is what you just mentioned. And that's what they tell me too. They're selling packages over the phone for the med spa before they even show up. Are you doing something like that? Or
Not yet,
okay.
but ask me in 6 months.
Okay. So then are you doing something where you're just asking for a small deposit up front to make sure that they're going to show?
Yeah, that it's just to increase the show.
And what kind of a deposit usually?
$29.
Okay. Okay. Now, I've heard personally from people that have a model similar to that you
Mm-hmm.
can, and I'm just exploring options here for people who are just thinking, how can I charge for the service? They usually charge like a flat retainer fee per agent that they have or
Mm-hmm.
whatever for the service. And then on top of that, they take the whole deposit, like they get the whole deposit for their agency. And
Mm-hmm.
then the med spa, they just basically get the money from the client when they convert. You doing something like that?
Not yet, but I think you're right. Like the deposit is not so much like revenue for the spa as a means to, it's a commitment device for the lead
Hmm.
to make sure that they're serious about showing up for the appointment, because you don't want to have a high no-show rate. The time and the space on your calendar is more valuable than that deposit.
Right. What's your pricing model?
So I think the most basic one right now is $1,500, and that gets you scheduling like multiple services. So that's somebody that's running like multiple offers, and that can be with a paid deposit and with some free consultations.
Okay. So 1,500 is the retainer. And
That's
so flat fee, but so
mhm.
what do they get for that?
We call all their leads and we book all of their appointments.
How many
Yeah.
leads? If they have 1,000 leads, obviously that's going to be difficult.
Usually the number of leads vary. Obviously, like the cost per lead is like the biggest because most people have set budgets. So the kind of like the effectiveness of the media buying will make the number of leads that they get each week vary. But for the most part, the spas will have goals for numbers of appointments that they want to hit each month. But that really depends on their ad spend. In terms of the conversion rates that we want to get, which of course I hope that Hot Prospector will help us increase them. We like to see a minimum of 15% conversion rate, but we can definitely get higher than that depending on those other variables. And it also depends on like the price of the offer and yeah. So there's like a math
Sure.
formula to figure out
Yep.
how much
So
is your
does
offer,
your
how much is your cost per lead, how many appointments you're going to get.
does your clients pay like how do you balance the commission part? So if it's a 1,500 flat fee, how do you balance commission?
Yeah, so there's different, I essentially have a few different models for payment for my appointment setters and for the spas. So some of them are flat fee, and the appointment setters also get a flat fee for being responsible for that account. And then some get paid commission, and some get, like you were saying, a retainer and then a commission per appointment on top of that.
Got it. This is the thing that most agencies, I think, paralyzes them from making this move and starting to offer the service. Like, how do I bill for it? Are you paying these agents an hourly rate?
No, most of them get a base per location that they manage.
Okay, so they're basically an independent contractor. I'm just curious, what does that look like? Is it like a few $100 or?
It's not much. Really,
Okay.
they make the most of their money through their commission. And it really matches like how much they want to work. If they, which I'll probably have to redesign all of this when I go to Hot Prospector. But if somebody wants to work part-time, then they might be responsible for 3 locations. If they want to work
Hmm.
full-time, then they have 8 locations.
Hmm.
And
And
they get
then
paid on a sliding scale depending on how many locations they have.
that's really smart because you can keep your margins pretty fixed, and their focus is doing this. They have to keep you happy, which is keeping your client happy, and so they're little business owners. That's very genius. I think that's why you've hit the gold mine here, is because on the other side, when you're dealing with a remote agent offshore, their sole focus is what's my hourly pay. When you get lucky, sometimes they're hard to find.
Yeah, I have had a much harder time. Not that I don't keep trying, but I've had a much harder time finding overseas appointment setters that want to work on commission.
Yeah, they're out there for sure,
Hmm.
but you got to screen 1,000 resumes to find 10 people. But okay, this has all been such really valuable information. If anybody's watching this who is an agency and they don't want to do this themselves, they would contact Vital Position, right? And they would white label your service, right?
Yeah, so I do work with a couple marketing agencies and they don't have in-house appointment setters and essentially we can schedule their leads. Yeah, so if anyone's doing marketing and their clients are not getting their money's worth out of their leads, then we can certainly help with that.
Okay. So I usually would leave this to the end, but who knows? Maybe people are going to be bored by the next stuff that you and I
Oh,
go
no.
into. So how could somebody reach out to you, Natalie, if they wanted to hire you to help them scale their med spa clients? Uh,
Sure. You can book a call on my website, vitalposition.com.
Perfect. I'll tell you what, Natalie, I've met with a lot of agency owners and you put a lot of thought into what you do, and you're a rare find when it comes to the agency owners out there. I think people would do themselves a big justice by reaching out to you and working with you if they don't want to do the thing we're about to go into, which is doing it all on their own. Now we're going to dig into some of the details of how you structure things. I will give you my suggestions and we'll set things up whichever way that makes sense. How many med spas, I'm sorry, you said 87 med spas, and how many agents do you have?
Less than 20.
Okay.
What I was thinking about, the account that I want us to onboard, it's a client that has 3 spas. I do have teams. Essentially, my plan is to onboard a team that is responsible with 3 people that are responsible for several spas. And that's where I was going to start with this. And they all
So,
already work together. So this is
okay.
like a different model. They're not assigned, like they all already work together. Some of the girls work Monday through Friday. Some girls cover the weekend. They already work together as a team. So I think it'll be easy for them.
Yeah, and this is actually where Hot Prospector kind of shines. It's if you have that shared type of experience where agents can log in and out of the same campaign, where all of your clients live, and then the experience for your client on the other end, just it's going to be amazing.
Hmm.
Because the one thing that, not to brag or anything like that, but I guess we should, right? The one thing that Hot Prospector does better than any other software that integrates with GoHighLevel when it comes to dialing is speed to lead. That's been
Hmm.
our
Yeah.
sole focus.
And
And
that's how I
speed,
found you because I searched speed to lead in the Go High Level Facebook group and I
wow.
read all the posts because I was like, Go High Level doesn't do it. I can't believe it's not on the dashboard. And in order to do it, you have to build things and connect spreadsheets and
Mhm.
There wasn't like a plug and play option. But then I saw your dashboard and I was like, I don't have to build it. That's what I want. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I don't have to make it.
The dashboard is definitely useful, right? And it helps to be able to measure what you want as an agency. Speed to lead is the number one thing. I think if you're not measuring that, you're doing yourself and your clients a disservice, because if you can fix the speed to lead, you're going to fix all the other stuff. Because then if you get speed to lead and you're listening to the calls, you'll be able to find where your agents are struggling. And if you don't measure speed to lead, you'll be like, why are my leads not converting? I often hear from people that say Facebook leads are just horrible. And yeah, they're not, the more they jump into the sales cycle, they are lower on the decision.
Conversion rate, yeah.
Yeah, like from what I understand, they're putting ads in front of people who may not be quite as action quickly. They might be at the beginning of the buying stage or buying cycle. Sometimes you get lucky and find people closer to the end, right? They just might be exploring MedSpa services, but they're not sure that they're going to do it. So yeah, there are those aspects of it, but if you have the right offer and you have that component that allows you to get in front of those leads quickly, you're going to be able to take the bigger chunk of those people off from the competitors because you reached out to them quicker. When you opt in, and I've done this myself, you opt in on an ad. As soon as you opt in, the next thing is another ad from somebody else competing with that person who you just opted in from. So Facebook's like, oh, you're interested
you like this?
Yeah, let me show you all of that. That's all I'm going to show you now. And then the average person is opting into 2 or 3 different competitors within that first day. And what ends up happening, and these companies don't realize this, your speed to lead is 1 minute. You get the deal. Somebody else's speed to lead is 1 hour. They lose. It's just facts. So it's really awesome that you even had that. But yeah, that's where I say we shine. It's not just because we have the metrics, but because our system was designed for that. It's fine-tuned to get those leads to the top, and nothing else does it.
Everybody's read the article about speed to lead, right? Or like the research says if you call them after 5 minutes, you're like 50% less likely to convert them, right? So everybody's read that and they all ask, what's your speed to lead? And I was like, I don't have a way to measure it. You know what I mean? I can go casually look at it, but I don't have an accurate way to measure it. And then number 2, the system's not really even set up to achieve that. I had played with different notification. I've used every notification there is, right? And GoHighLevel. We had a Slack channel. We have spreadsheets. I actually don't mind the call to connect, right? And then obviously there's like text messaging and emails and stuff that we've tried them all and they don't work at scale and they're overwhelming and it's just not designed to do that right now.
So we're going to be definitely putting things together in that way. So all of your clients, this is the way I typically do it. All of your clients, all of the clinics inside of one, or spas, sorry, inside of one campaign, all of the agents have permission to that one campaign. Then you'll be able to measure not just what's happening in that campaign, but per each sub-account based off of like the location. Okay.
Good. That was another one of the questions I had because I was like, am I going to lose? Obviously, I want to know overall what's happening, but I don't want to lose like the granular data of monitoring the performance of individual locations.
Yep. You're going to have that. We have a report that will give you the number of leads that you generated or that's been generated for that report, the number of your speed to lead, right? The number of dials per lead. So, and those are all important metrics. And then obviously conversion to appointment. Those are all important metrics to measure. In addition to speed to lead, the next thing that is important to measure is how many dials per lead. Because as you mentioned, that speed to lead report, there's another report that people mention or article that people mention, which was done by Inside Sales. It's the same one that's been passed around for the last 10 years or so. Is it takes about 8 touches to convert that lead to a customer. And what ends up happening is most they stop at 2. That's what the studies show, and it's true. I see it all the time. So with this, what we're going to do is, in addition to measuring your speed to lead, we're going to set up a cadence for those new leads.
Mm-hmm.
So when they go into that cadence, if they don't answer the phone the first time, then you automatically will be calling them at optimum times to be able to get them to convert into that. The first day is the best, then the second day, and the third day. But by a week, now it's going to slow down and your chances to convert drop because they might have either they just said, I don't want to do this anymore. Or one other thing that does happen, remember I was mentioning about how people get opted into a bunch of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
There's an onslaught of calls that come with that. And I've been there. I don't know if you've ever opted into something. I just stop answering my phone.
Yeah, I've shopped. If you do any of those like insurance things where they, and then they send your contact information out to like multiple different agencies. Yeah, you get a lot of
part of it. That's part of it. But even people who are just opting in to these companies, if they have sales teams, salespeople are calling, some salespeople call 5-10 times in one day. I've seen it. Like it's crazy. So you've got 5-10 times calling in one day from 5 different companies. That's 150, 100 calls coming in. You're like, what?
You mentioned optimum time to call.
Hmm?
What's the optimum time to call, or does it depend?
Depends on the service. I've seen a lot of, so you'll get some people who are answering during the mornings. They're at work, which is sometimes difficult. So this is where texting, what peer-to-peer texting comes in. I always tell my clients to make sure that their agents do follow up with the text as soon as they call, because if somebody opts in, call comes in, right? They don't have time to answer it. Maybe they're at work, wherever. They've seen the call. Hopefully you have your caller ID, which we're going to talk about, set up, and maybe they just reject the call because they're busy. And if immediately after that they get a text that says, hey, it's Natalie, I'm calling because you had requested in our promo for facelift or whatever it is now a good time to chat. I always position those messages with a question like that versus just assume that it's a thing they want, that promo. Can you talk? Can you talk? And then a lot of times they'll reply back and say, I can't now, I'm at work, whatever. And then you could say, do you have some questions? And I can answer. And that at least keeps that conversation moving forward. So you're not killing it, because a lot of people will still text even if they're wherever, church, bathroom, wherever, right? They're just texting. So if it's okay to have that conversation there, at least possibly moving it forward. You guys do that now? Okay, perfect. That's good.
Definitely send follow-up text. Are you able to track like when the most leads come in, or variability by like time of day or day of the week?
That's actually a good report I've never even thought of, because we get all the leads coming into our system.
Right. You have the timestamps on them.
That's a good
like
number.
You have the data. It's just like visualizing it.
Yeah. That's actually a really good thing, because that would help you guys with positions, like knowing when you need to have positions.
Yeah. If it was consistent, from my experience, like Friday night, not the best time to call people. Not work on Friday night. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I like anecdotally know, but I was interested. We have it. Every lead is timestamped when it comes in. It would just be a matter of extrapolating that from it. Yeah.
Thanks for that idea. We have an answer report, the heat map. When's the best time of day for that? But I bet you we could probably put something else together in a very similar type of report. We'll look at it together. But that's a good idea. All right, so let's dive into the software stuff here. Do you want to share your screen, or do you want me to do it on my side? Which is best for you?
Whatever is going to, and there's also a Zoom feature now where you can control my screen. Have you ever done that?
Yeah, I have.
But
I know
whatever,
it's been around for a long time, but hold on a second. Let's do that, actually. That's not a bad idea. But you're going to have to help, because
I will.
There's a couple things that you'll have to paste in.
Okay.
Okay, let me just make sure.
Are we going to Hot Prospector, or where are we going?
Yeah. So you're going to go to Hot Prospector, and let me request control just so I have access when it's time. Where is that thing? Ah, there it is. Cool. Okay, so let's start off with putting in your Twilio credentials. So if you want to just click on that flashing person, click on that. and then go to integration and select Twilio. Okay, go ahead and let's go back over to Twilio, and you're going to grab the, now real quick before you do this, no, you're fine. I'm going to be blurring all this stuff out. So just go into that, that page right there. That's actually not the one we need. Actually go back to the other tab. Leave this tab open because we're going to need that number in a second.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to paste that in Hot Prospector.
Here?
Yep. And then do the same thing with the auth token. Just click copy. Yep. And okay, so this right here is probably not going to be a thing for you because you're not like you're not a reseller. You're just using it, and you're going to be putting your clients' business profiles underneath. So let's just go ahead and keep everything on your main account. So just click save. Okay, perfect. Next thing we want to do is let's go ahead and click on integrations. It's to the left. Okay. So you have a spa, you said like a couple of locations that you want to start with. Okay. Are you logged into GoHighLevel already?
Not yet. I can.
Go ahead and, yep, go ahead and log in. So the way that the integration works is you can connect multiple agency accounts inside of one Hot Prospector account. So if you're doing business for, like you are, for example, having different agencies that you work for, you can log in to any of those agencies and connect that. So that's cool because it's perfect for people like Natalie that are doing a service where you're working for agencies.
Yes, I think that will be like a big win for my team.
Yep. And
you know, for the client ultimately, because everything will be monitored more easily.
Yep, exactly. Okay, one quick question. Do you answer their calls too, or do you just do the outbound?
We get some inbound calls.
Okay.
Mostly people calling us back. Not we don't take all their business calls right now. It would just be like if a lead's returning our call.
Gotcha. Okay. I'm surprised that they haven't asked you for that, especially since you have salespeople. They should.
I don't know if everybody knows.
When you're dealing with your clients, I would think that you're going to do a much better job than their receptionist.
We'll see.
Even now. But yeah, so you're logged into this account. So go ahead and go back over to Hot Prospector.
Yeah, I think so. That is a pain point for depending on like how the spa is staffed. So there's some spas that are like a sole proprietor. They're the person doing treatments. And so you're right. Like they're not available to answer the phone all the time or get back to people. There are other facilities that they do have a front desk person, but they're obviously like greeting the people that come in the spa. They're taking them to their rooms. They're getting them set up. They're explaining things, like they're doing demos. So even in that case, they're not even available all the time to answer the phone. So it is something we want to be able to do. And obviously this will make it easier.
Yeah, for sure. That's the reason why I was asking is because we can set up an inbound call routing system as well. Okay. So go back over to Hot Prospector. This part doesn't matter if it loads or not. It just matters if you're logged in. So click on GoHighLevel. Okay. So where it says Add Account, click on that. And it's going to open up that agency. So what you'll do here, you don't want to connect the agency, you want to connect the sub-account that you're working with in the agency.
Okay.
And then just go ahead. Now, before you do this, let me explain what you're looking at here. Or that.
Sorry.
No worries. Look, so what you just saw is an option to allow Hot Prospector to become the SMS provider for GoHighLevel. And so even though you've installed it, it's okay. If they turn it on, it's only going to work if they turn it on. Right now, by default, the SMS provider is Lead Connector. But
Okay.
if they decide that they want to switch over and have all their texts coming from your Twilio account, they could. So
Okay.
obviously that's
But
not
for
something we're going
now,
to be
all
doing.
of our automations and everything are still running in GHL.
Yep. And so if they did do that, just to tell you why people do it, is they can switch all of their texts and their calls to come from that one number inside of Hot Prospector. And so we would then be the text provider for their workflows and also the text from the agent. It's not really that big a deal because most people don't look at their phone and go, wait a second, did this company just call me from a different number? They don't. Yeah, just as long as you have the caller ID and stuff, which will be taken care of. Okay, so now that you've connected, the next thing that you want to do is you want to sync your tags and your fields and your custom values. Now, the way this is going to work when you hit sync is automatically we're going to take everything that's inside of HighLevel and pull it into Hot Prospector as far as those tags, fields, custom values, and things like that goes. So go ahead and click that. Okay, so they don't have a lot of fields. Or maybe they do, actually. It doesn't give us a number. But they have some custom values. Okay. The custom values are something that you guys are using now, or do you?
Yeah, it's basic stuff like name of location, address,
Okay.
stuff like that.
One of the cool things in our scripts area when we get to this, which is probably one of my favorite features, is you can use those custom values along with fields in your script. If you have a special offer or something like that that needs to get mentioned from that spa, you could put that in as a custom value that gets inserted into that part of the script. So it's, hey, I was calling you regarding that facelift that you were looking to get done, and they don't have to go searching around or what have you for that. So we'll get into that. The next thing, and I should have actually told you to do this before we go to this, so we're going to have to take an extra step. This is my fault. Step 2 is selecting your tag. Now, this is a sync tag, what we call it here at Hot Prospector is a sync tag. So essentially what that means is any of the leads that have this tag inside of HighLevel will be synced. Some companies or some agencies, they want every lead synced. But there are others where they say, no, these kind of leads, we don't want them in. We just want these leads. As an agency that's doing calls for other clients, you want to make this sync tag something that is relevant to you in here for reporting purposes. So typically what I suggest is using the company's name, the location's name inside that tag. So it might say Allegra Wellness Spa Dialer, something like that. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go back over to the spa. Yeah, go into contacts, and then let's just go ahead and add a tag. Right there, yep.
To everything? Or?
We could just add a tag for, do you have a test lead or something like that?
Let me see if I'm in here. Can I just add it
Yeah, try adding it.
this way?
Okay, so now that's done, go back to Hot Prospector.
Okay.
And you're going to resync those tags. So click on step 1 one more time. Okay. Now, there is something to keep in mind. If you ever add a tag inside of HighLevel that you will be needing inside of Hot Prospector, there's not a sync yet for that in their API at this time of recording. So you don't have to sync it here. You can actually, there's another area inside of our tags where you can sync those after you've added in a HighLevel. So you always want to add the tag HighLevel first and then come back to Hot Prospector and you'll be able to sync those leads. We'll go into that in a moment. Yeah, I'll show you where that's at. But anyway, step 2 here now, select that Allegra tag. Perfect. And now, this is where all of the leads that we sync are going to sit inside of Hot Prospector. So we use tags for filters and we use groups to run our campaigns. So what I typically suggest is all of the leads just go into your leads bucket or your leads group.
Mhm.
You can change that if you'd like per client. It does become maybe a little more complex than needed. So you could just put them into the leads group and then use tags for filters inside the campaigns, which we'll go into that a little bit later.
Okay. So like I can filter out, like we usually, once they come in, they get a client tag. So
Yep.
I'll be able to essentially sync my whole list and then filter out the ones that are already clients.
Yep, exactly.
Okay.
So at this point, when you hit sync leads, you can do that at any time. You're going to be adding just that one lead.
Okay.
Okay. In order to get all of the leads in the system, you'll add that tag to all of the leads that are going to be dialed. And then you should come back in the first time and just hit that resync, just the first time because you have a whole bunch of new leads. And it should just push over, but I'm just saying it's probably faster to hit resync the first time. After you do this process one time, you don't have to keep coming back and doing it over and over again. It's just a one-time thing to get this account set up.
Okay. So in the future, anything that gets tagged Allegra Ruskin will get synced in here?
Yes.
So should I add to our automations to add that tag to new leads?
Yes. You should have a workflow that adds that tag to any lead that is needed. Now, something I would probably talk a little bit more about later, but this is ideal to discuss now. Are you only in charge of their new leads, or do you also offer a service to call their past, like their aged leads?
Right now, we mostly just handle new leads.
Okay.
But I know you're like reactivation campaign. Yeah, I don't do that right now, but we do sales. So like seasonal sales, like obviously Black Friday is coming up soon. So a lot of times those sales they're directed to people that have already come in for their first visit. Right now I focus on like intro appointments, but a lot of our sales text blasts or people that have already come in for their intro appointment and getting them to buy packages.
Got it. So if you do offer like that kind of a service, what my suggestion is just to have some kind of an aging tag process built onto the lead. I can show you how I've done it for a client inside of GoHighLevel, but essentially what you do is when the lead comes in, just add a wait step. So all of those leads get this age tag over time. And so then you can build campaigns specifically targeting those.
We have a stale lead. Like after 30 days, they get moved to stale leads.
Yeah. So do you have a stale lead tag or?
Yeah, probably.
Okay. So that would be what I would do. If you have a process that's aging them into that stale lead, just make sure there's a tag on it. And then you could just easily segment them whenever you want to do a campaign. Some of my clients do get into more details like on that. So for example, they might have their fresh leads, which are from 0 to 14 days. And then after 14 days and until 30 days, and then from 30 days to 90 days, and then from 90 days on out, right? Something like that. Because the older the lead gets, the more stale it gets. And
so can you filter in here by like their created date?
You can, but because everybody wants to automate things to make it easy, I always
you don't want to
suggest
go make list every day. Yeah.
Yep. I just suggest building that as an automation at GoHighLevel. So it adds that tag automatically. And then as the leads go into those stages, you have a campaign set up for the stale leads. It will just be there with the right leads whenever you want them.
Okay.
So I think you probably get the picture, right? But when we get into campaigns, it'll be completely clear.
Okay.
Cool. So Next thing is syncing users. You don't need to worry about that. That's just if you're pulling users from your high-level account into Hot Prospector, you can build them manually, which is probably going to be a better idea since you have agents, right?
Okay.
Unless you do have agents that are, but if you have agents that are going to be in separate, they're going to be in multiple accounts, it's better just to build them in Hot Prospector.
Okay. I'll do that.
Okay, cool.
Because there's
So
a bunch of
next,
users in there that aren't agents, like tech,
gotcha.
like ads guys and stuff.
If you sync users, what it'll do is it'll show you all of the lists, and then you can select which ones you want, but we'll just still build them. Actually, click on it real quick. Okay, so if you see how you got the plus button, don't click it, but that is what adds them. So if you wanted to add a couple of these people in here, fine, but just keep in mind, if, if you have the same email, yeah, vital position, stuff like that, those are yours, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you could add that person if you want that email to be the email that they have inside this system.
Mm-hmm.
But if not, then we could just do it manually.
Oh, if it's quicker, I can just click the ones I want to add.
Try it. Yeah, let's see what happens.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so that's done. Now, next thing is default provider. It's already set to GHL. Just go ahead and leave that. CRM number. So that is the number that is being used as the default number from high level. So if you can get that number as...
The phone number?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Awesome. And now, let's talk about this. Don't set this yet.
Okay.
Let me explain what this is. This is a really cool feature if your client kind of fits the mold, which I think they do.
Mm-hmm.
So when you run ads on Facebook,
Mm-hmm.
the big challenge when it comes to a local presence type of a system, like which ours provides local presence, the big challenge is that ads are attracting people who are opting in who might have phone numbers they had when they lived in California and now moved to Florida. So
Yeah.
the typical way that software like ours manages that, first, I don't know how everybody does it, but first how we do it is off of the address on the contact. So if the contact has a Florida address...
We don't have their address.
Exactly. That you perfectly just
Sorry.
nailed the problem, right? When you're running ads, they don't get the address. So because of that, you have this big problem where you might be, if you're running national campaigns like you are, you might accidentally call somebody at the wrong time of the day, right?
Yeah.
You might call somebody at 6 a.m. thinking they're in Florida, but they're not. They're in California.
Right.
So what we built was a way for you to force all of the leads inside of that sub-account to have one specific time zone.
Okay. Great.
So that's what that's going to do. If you, what'll happen is that'll overwrite every lead that comes in to this specific time zone. So you're going to want to use, I'm assuming their location is in that one city and that's it, right?
Yeah, they're in Florida.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So go ahead and select time zone. Yep.
Okay.
And the next thing over is our AI assistant. I know this is a lot to cover on this one meeting.
Okay.
So we'll skip it for now. But just to get you excited about it, when I was talking about how you can text your lead and when somebody replies, you can handle that right for them. So I like to use the AI assistants to do that. So you send the text automatically through a disposition that says, hey, this is Natalie. I just called you about that facelift special you were looking for. You got a minute? And then they reply back, yeah, sure. The AI assistant, the bot, can then kick in and have a conversation and book them, right? It does take commission from some of your agents, but it also gives you the ability to focus on what their strengths are, and that's speaking on the phone versus having to manage text as well. So just something to keep in mind.
Yeah.
Cool.
Definitely interested in learning more about it.
Are you clear on everything so far?
Yeah. So far, This was easy.
Yep, it is easy, right? It's just, what am I doing? And once you understand why it works, then it's completely, everything else is going to be super easy. When you add a new location, you're just going to take the same exact process. So what you'll do first is you're going to connect the tag inside that sub account, and then you're going to come back after you've connected that or created that tag and you've added it to a lead. Then you're going to come back and you're going to add the location, sync the tags, select that tag that you just created, put them into the leads group, sync your leads. You don't have to sync the users every time, especially if they belong in other users or other accounts. Right?
They're the same on all these.
Perfect. Yep. So then default provider, leave it to GHL for the SMS, put in the CRM number, select your time zone, and you're done. That's it. Okay. Now, that's not, I wish we were done. If it was that easy, everything would be great, but it's not. Click on go to dashboard.
Okay. No, but in terms of adding an account, that's what's involved in adding an account. Okay.
Yep. Okay. By the way, this dashboard will look better once you actually start dialing. You gotta, for some reason, the way our thing works is it shows everything until you start dialing, and then you can set your options.
That's fine.
Yep. Okay, cool. So the next thing that we should do is let's pick a phone number. Okay. So go ahead on the green icon again, click on that. Now this is cool. Now the one to the right of that, sorry. Okay. Don't click anything yet. Those things at the bottom are called quick links. If you see to the right, there's those delete options. Don't click those unless you really don't want them there. Okay.
Okay.
Once you remove them, you can add them back. But we added quick links because if you got to go into settings areas all the time for certain things, you can put a link directly to that from here. So it makes it
it's like
easy.
My favorites.
Exactly. So we just call it quick links. I don't know. I just like to make things hard. So click on phones. Yep. And you'll see on the right side of your screen, see where it says remove from quick links? If you don't have it in quick links, it would say add quick links.
Okay.
Cool. Now, phone numbers. You have a phone number now. It's an 800 number. That was the one that I think you purchased while you were inside of
Twilio.
Yeah. So obviously you don't want to call from a toll-free number. I don't think you do.
The only times we do are when locations are brand new. So I work on a lot of like brand new spas and they don't have a local number approved yet. We switch to local once we can.
Okay. Oh, because you're talking about inside of GoHighLevel, they don't have it. Got you. Okay. So personally, myself, I like dialing from a local number because most people associate an 800 number with a collection agency or somebody who's telemarketing them, right? So go ahead first. Let's go and click on buy numbers.
Where is that? It's right here.
Yep. And let's pick an area code on the right where it says next to fetch results, put in the area code for your...
I think it's 813. Just like Tampa, but let me...
What was the MedSpa
on the other screen?
Yeah. Go back to, just click on the one to the right. That one. Yep. It's 727. Okay. Cool. Now, there may be situations where there is no...
Yeah, I know, like Miami, Orlando, you can't get.
Yep. If that happens, you're just going to have to find the best thing that's available. Twilio's pretty good at having most of them, but there are just some places you can't get it. Like 303 in Denver, man, that's like a find when you find them. And I always check myself personally, especially like if you're an agency and it's important to you, check them periodically, those big ones, because if you can get one for your client, they're going to think you're the best thing since sliced bread. They're like, wait, you got a 303? So go ahead and pick a number. It doesn't matter. Just whatever looks good to you.
Okay.
Now, let's talk about this real quick before you purchase this number, okay?
Okay.
We have some feature called local presence. Local presence means showing a phone number that you own to the lead based off of an area code match or location match, right? For the local area they're in. For example, if you're calling a 727 lead, the way most local presence features work is it's going to dial that number with your caller ID that has a 727 area code, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But because Hot Prospector is designed specifically for agencies that do this type of thing that you and I are doing here, setting up, we give you more functionality on the local presence. So you may have a client that has lots of leads, and if a client has a lot of leads and you're making a lot of phone calls, sometimes the number might get mistakenly marked as spam by the carrier or somebody who didn't recognize you. They might mark you spam, and so that causes your numbers to show up as spam, which is going to affect your answer rates. Typically, what my suggestion is that you're going to dial no more than 70 calls per day on that phone number. So if you have a client that you're making more than 70 calls a day for, you should purchase at least however many numbers you need to accommodate that.
Okay.
Now, 70 is not a magic number. It's just a guesstimate. We don't really, nobody really knows what that number is.
And it's a probability anyway. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Higher than 100, I wouldn't go, right? Okay. If you're going 70 to 100, you're still within that range of you're probably going to be okay. I've had numbers where I've dialed a couple hundred and never had a problem, but just something to consider. So typically, would you say that 70 is a good number, or would you say you're making more calls?
I think that we're fine with that right now. One of the things that I was thinking about that would be possible now is if we have a location that's struggling for bookings, having more people focus on that so that we could get the numbers up. That's a scenario where we might make, on the regular, we wouldn't make more than 70 calls in a day.
Okay.
But does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it makes sense. Makes sense. Well, especially when you're doing like the aged lead thing that we were talking about, you're going to be making a lot more calls.
Right.
And so in that case, you want to come in here and purchase some numbers. So that way you can, what our system will do on the local presence, which it doesn't, don't get fooled by the name, right? This feature is not just for local presence. It's also for what we're talking about here is keeping that number from showing up as spam. Some companies call it spam protection. This is true spam protection. Other services that they sell as spam protection, it's not. It's a standard thing that all software does through Twilio, which we'll be getting into after this step. So now that you've got the number selected, down where it says name, name it.
Should I name it the spa?
I would name it the spa. Yep.
Okay.
Perfect. Go ahead and so here where it says assign to none, all members, specific member. When an agent has access to a phone number, then they can see the voicemails that come in, text messages that come in, so on and so forth. However, if they're in the campaign, that number is being used as the caller ID. They don't actually have to have access to the number to see those things. So right now we're just going to go ahead and skip that. Go ahead and click purchase number. All right, perfect. Now click on my numbers.
Where is that?
It's the top or second row there on the first button.
There we go.
Yep.
Okay.
Perfect. Okay. So the next thing that we're going to do, so I know you mentioned you're not going to be sending text messages. So if you're not sending text messages, A2P does not matter. Okay?
Okay.
Only stir
eventually, if we wanted to, or I think eventually we would, like ideally just have everybody work in one platform, right?
I would totally. You'll be able to send text messages from GoHighLevel's number here. So so that's still going to be fine. The only reason why I'm asking about this is if you wanted the agent to be able to text from the same number they just called from. That's all. But again, I think some people overthink this, and that's why I'm saying this right now. It's not that big a deal. If I receive a call, just think about yourself. I just received
They're in
a call.
separate places on your phone.
Yeah,
and as long as you can call back the number that you texted, it's fine.
Yep. Yep. Nobody's trying to match it up. Nobody's a forensic auditor going into their phone and saying,
Especially if they
wait
have
a
the
minute.
same area code. And I think I've been asked this before, and I'm just like, oh, we have multiple lines for our business,
Yeah,
which is
normal.
not, yeah.
Yeah, like it's normal. And not every phone number needs to be text enabled. So like I said, it's not a big deal.
Okay.
I'm so glad we talked about this because so many agency owners get hung up on this. They're like, but it's a
hmm
different number. I'm like, nobody knows.
But like you could have two phones at your front desk if you were
Yeah,
busy. Okay.
yes, exactly. Cool. All right. So with that being said, only thing we have to worry about is the stir shaken. Okay.
Okay.
So
Yep.
click on the stir shaken. Yep. And now we have to do something fun. Click on register new business. I think actually you already did this, didn't you? Wait, close this. So, okay, let's talk about this real quick.
We have, because you can do this in GHL, right? Will it sync if you have done it in
No, I
GHL? Oh, okay.
wish. Yeah, because we're not connected to the lead connector, but you've already registered your clients, right?
Yeah, they
Inside of
should
there.
be.
Okay, so
Yeah.
this is something we're going to need to do. Go over to their trust center because I think the information's shared here.
Oh, this one isn't.
Yeah. Click on, I think it's brands. They're not registered.
That one wasn't registered. Oh,
Do you have
this
it?
brand is registered.
Okay, we just need, they haven't registered for Stir Shake and that's insane. Okay, this is going to help you tremendously then. Do you have their data for this? I think is it under,
Is it their business profile?
yeah, I don't know where they keep it inside of high level. I can't remember.
It's over here.
So you'll need all of their info, like their EIN, contact, all of that stuff. Yep, there it is. Business
Okay.
information, LLC.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna be switching back and forth. If you have a separate tab, it might be easier, or a separate screen,
Okay.
so we can copy
1
paste.
second. Let me.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no, it's fine. I do have another screen. I'm just gonna turn my. I like to face the window. 1 second. No problem. Okay. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so go ahead and click on register new business profile. Let's go ahead and fill out information in from your client. Now remember, it's super important, and I'm just saying this for anybody who's watching this, super important that the legal business name matches the EIN, the address, all of those things match whatever their IRS filing is, because that's how Twilio is going to look them up. And if it doesn't, then you'll get denied, and then you got to go back and forth with Twilio support, which is not fun. Perfect. So I think they're an LLC.
Yeah. Where do they have it? Healthcare. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's. Okay.
Now that would be the owner or whoever.
Okay.
Perfect. Actually, never mind. I didn't read what that said. Never mind. Just keep going. I think it was saying that there's not a second author. There's not a second person is what that box was checked. I just didn't look at it, and that's what I was curious about. But I think that's what it said. So you don't have a second person there that you have for authorization or contact. What
No.
that said. Okay, cool.
Can I put
And
my
then
email here?
this is going to be theirs, unless you want to get the contact in case something happens. But I think it's usually best for them, the authorized person, to have their email there.
Okay.
This is only if something happens that they need to know about, which they are probably the ones that hear from on the Twilio and then inside of high level, right? Okay, so that adventure is over. There's not really anything we can do because we're stuck waiting for Twilio to approve it anyways.
Okay.
So what we'll do is we're just going to continue with the process. Now, by the way, I shared that doc. I saw you saw it.
Mhm.
That is, yeah, if you want to open that up real quick, that SOP is just like the things that we were doing just now.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
creating the subcount, tagging the lead. The group is only a one-time thing pretty much, unless you're going to be creating multiple groups like we talked about. Purchasing the phone number. The call flow thing is next. So let's go ahead and jump on into the okay, so you go click on phones. Oh, you're there already. My bad. Select call flows. Okay. So you're familiar with call flows? Oh, you got kicked. Maybe
What
that was
happened?
I
What's
don't know.
wrong?
Maybe, log back in. Maybe
What
that's what
happened?
happened. I don't know. Somehow you got logged out.
Kicked out?
Yeah.
Okay. Log back in.
Yeah. So go back to phones.
Under my favorites?
Yep. Okay. Are you familiar with how call flows work?
No.
Okay. So let's go ahead and go on to call flows, and we're going to build. So you have the default call flow, which is automatically set up. That's for local presence, which is basically the way that the system will work. If somebody calls back in, it's going to look at who called and then try to route them to that agent.
Okay. If they're returning the call.
Yeah. But personally, myself, I don't think that's the best way to go because agents, like you said, sometimes they're not available
Mm-hmm.
and the call could just go to voicemail. So if
Mm-hmm.
you have multiple agents available, then it's better to have a ring group set up.
Okay.
And then everybody in that ring group can answer the calls and handle it. So go ahead and click on the actually right here,
Mm-hmm.
ring groups. Now, as you see, there's all of these ring groups that were added automatically when we added the users.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Here, you also have an all user ring group. Every time you add a user, they get added to that by default.
Okay.
Okay. So myself, what I do is, because you don't want to be in the ring group. You don't want to be in the ring group, I'm assuming. Are you taking calls?
Not if
No?
I don't have to.
Okay, good. So then D&D yourself and then everybody else on that group, you're going to have set to ring browser. Okay? So we're going to go ahead and close this out. And so once your ring group is set up, and you can create different ring groups for different teams, right? So maybe you have a team that's handling certain number of clients that they need to have access to, then you should probably have a ring group for that specific team.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Are there any like ratios that you recommend, like in terms of lead volume or like staffing ratios or ring groups? Or we'll see what happens.
It's unfortunate. Unfortunately, I don't because most of the clients don't get a lot of inbound calls when it comes to these sub accounts, like with high level.
Yeah, we don't
Inbound
get it a lot
call,
either.
yeah, so it's hard. I do have one client who's completely just rings off the hook. They're getting like 100 plus calls a day. Most of them are spam, but they get a ton of calls.
Hmm.
And you can see inside the dashboard if you're missing calls. And so I would just take a look at that. But yeah,
Okay.
there's no real way to gauge that. Okay, so we got the call. Oops, sorry. I clicked the wrong thing. Let me go back. Okay, so we got the ring group set up. Now we're going to set up a call flow. Okay. Now, there's a couple of ways that you can do this. And this really depends on what you want the experience of the caller to go through when they call back. Some of my agencies have a specific call group set up, or sorry, call flow set up for each client. So when they call back, they hear, thank you for calling Allegra Spa. Then some of my clients just say, thank you for calling what do you call it? Scheduling. This is the MedSpa scheduling line. You know what I'm saying? It's really up to you on how you want to set that up. What do you think you're leaning more towards? Having it mention this MedSpa's name or just
So
having
is
a generic?
the call flow is for inbound calls? For now, a generic one, but we do record I have recordings of voicemails for all the spas. We make customized ones now.
Okay. So if you have that,
Hmm.
then we're going to make a general one, but you'll just essentially just have to duplicate this for each one. It's not a lot of steps, but we'll just do general, we'll just call it general call flow for right
Okay.
because I'm not being very creative for some reason. Once you've created it, you just click here on this gear and
Hmm.
you're going to build the flow. So here you have the option to decide how you want the calls to be handled when they come in. Most people have either a greeting
Hmm.
or a menu when you call into their business line. For this, they're just calling back. So I might have a greeting that says, thank you for calling MedSpa scheduling line. Please hold, or all calls recorded for quality assurance. Please hold while I transfer you to the next available agent.
Okay.
Okay. You can record or you can upload that here as like a option. We're just going to
Hmm.
have you, just for a placeholder here. I know
Okay.
you don't want to record
That's
it
fine.
now,
I
but
can do it.
I don't know why I just said this time. It should have been every time. Okay. So now there's something here. So we can do the next step. So the next step is going to be the ring group. Okay. So the ring group
Hmm.
is the thing that we just created. And so here, we're going to select that all user for right now. But you can also set the ring group to be an individual person.
Hmm.
Okay. The caller ID that's going to be displaying, you always want that to be the caller ID of the caller because if you do that, then the screen will pop with their info.
Okay.
Okay. Select call type. This is the way that the lead or the way that the ring group is.
Hmm.
I don't know if that's the right number or right word, but
I
anyways,
get it.
I use simultaneous.
Okay. So it'll
This the
ring
way.
anyone that's signed in.
Yep, exactly. And then here you've got the timeout for rings. I just leave it at the default. Agent callback, if you select this, is going to call the agent who called them
First or
first.
only? Okay.
Yeah, but again, I personally don't really like this when you're doing what you're doing because it's like, what if they called an hour ago and they're not there? Or what if they're calling back from a call they had 3 days ago and that person's not there? Then the
Yeah.
person just goes to voicemail.
Okay.
And then let's see here. Hold time. How long do you want the agent or the client to hold when they're waiting for an agent?
Not too long.
Because if not, what ends up happening is it just go to voicemail. So 3 minutes.
Sure, if that's what you normally do.
I typically do 5, but most people are not going to sit for 5 minutes.
They'll hang up before then. Okay.
Probably they'll hang up around 1 or 2 minutes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then enable whisper you don't need to use. That's really only good if you're forwarding calls outside of Hot Prospector to somebody's cell phone.
Yeah.
I don't suggest that. You don't want to get your agents in the habit of being able to take calls while they're at the daycare picking up their kid or something.
Yeah.
Not good. All right. So we got the final thing is going to be your voicemail. Okay. Similar thing we just did. You're going to have the ability to record. We're going to click record, blah, 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 blah. And then that's your recording. And then at the end, hang up. So there. Now you've created your first call flow.
Okay.
So thank you for calling, scheduling, all calls recorded for quality assurance. Please hold for the next available agent. Boom. Now if they're going to hear some music and stuff if they have to be on hold. We've got some kind of professional ring thing here. You can select from female or male. I always have female selected. And then if there's no available agent, it's like if they're calling after hours or whatever, it's going to go straight to voicemail. Otherwise, if everybody's busy on the call, it'll put them on hold until somebody comes available and then they'll answer. Okay. We do have conditions that you can use, conditional call flow settings, where based off of a certain tag or location, you can set up another flow underneath and it will automatically route that caller accordingly. For example, maybe you have somebody on your team that's super good at this certain type of lead and you want to put it in there. You want those leads to be transferred to them. That's what that is good for. Okay. So that's it. The call flow is set up.
Okay.
After you set the call flow up, you're going to go to the number that we purchased and you're going to go to the phone settings, select that call flow, which we just called it the general call flow. And that's it. Now these working hours up here, you don't have to set them, but if you did want to have different call flows depending on the time of day or day of week, see here, if I set these schedule, I can
like on Fridays schedule. We close at 5 and so you've caught us after hours.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
But I think it
doesn't matter that much though because
so I think it's overkill. I don't ever usually suggest it, but if somebody wants it, you can have holiday workflows, you can have, and it all happens automatically.
Okay.
So here we have the SMS campaign, which I don't think you really need to worry about. We'll skip that. Incoming calls, incoming SMS, and missed voicemail text back. This is a feature with using the AI agent. If you turned this on and you had an AI agent, voice agent in our system, you would be able to have it take the calls. Same thing for the text. If I had incoming agent text. Now, these are separate agents. When you go to this route to set up an agent, you would need a voice agent and an SMS agent because they have different functions. A voice agent can transfer, but a text agent can't. Okay. And so you'll have to have 2 separate agents. And I know we're not doing this right now, so if you want to do it later, we can. Missed voicemail text back is actually one of my favorite features because if somebody leaves a voicemail, if you're not using the incoming call, if you don't want the calls to come in and talk to a voice agent, then you would select this. And what it'll do is, if it gets a voicemail, it fires a text back with a message that is related to the voicemail that it would just receive. So if you said, hey, I just received this call, I'm not exactly sure what this was about, I just wanted to call you back, then the bot would text back and say, hey, this is Natalie over at ABC MedSpa. I was just texting you back. I was just calling you because of your request for the facelift. Is now a time to talk. Now a good time to talk, right? But if they were calling back because they had an appointment scheduled and they're like calling back to reschedule, same thing would happen. hey, this is Natalie. It would text back. This is Natalie. Got your message
So
about
it'll
rescheduling.
analyze the voicemail?
Yep.
Awesome.
Yep. So this is,
We just have a generic voicemail text back where like no matter how many times they call,
yeah.
which people, I don't know why people don't recognize what it is, but they get really mad sometimes
Yeah.
because like with a not smart text reply, they'll call like 3 times and it'll be like, hi, this is Ashley. I'm sorry I missed your call. And they just, I've seen people get so mad and it's funny because you don't realize that this is just automated.
Yeah. They don't. It's funny. People don't read. That's funny that you say that because I have so many situations. But the point is, this right here, if you don't use the calls, like some people are apprehensive to
Mm-hmm.
take having a voice agent take their inbound calls, which I totally get it.
Mm-hmm.
But the SMS agents are pretty solid.
Mm-hmm.
And the only difference really between the call agent and the SMS is just that the person needs to know they're speaking to a bot. When they call in, sometimes they don't act the way that you want them to act because they're bots. They work fine.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're talking to a bot to schedule and you're for what you do, I think it's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, these things right here, though, I would have active on every client you can because it's a game changer. I use
Yeah,
it in my
that sounds
business. Yeah. So when you're ready to set these up, we can do that. We probably should do like a separate call on this because it could take
okay.
a little bit of time.
Okay.
Here where it says add group, basically, I always turn this off. What happens is when the lead comes in, if you have it set to yes, it's going to add that lead into a group that you select. If you want your leads to be added into a group when they call, so you have you know, an inbound call group and you know everybody who's
Mm-hmm.
ever called in, you can. It's up to
Mm-hmm.
you. You could also automatically add a tag when they call inbound as well. So a good way for you to segment if you want to down the road.
Okay.
Call recording on or to off. Do you typically record all your calls?
Yeah, we record them.
Okay. And then conversation intelligence. This is a feature that, remember that report I was showing
Mm-hmm.
you that shows like the little snippet?
Yeah.
Okay. This is 2 cents a minute for that transcription / AI. So it covers both.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to turn it on later, you can after you talk to your clients, something probably you might want to think about, but
Okay.
it's always available. If you turn that on, then it's going to transcribe. You may even start with just the inbounds because there's not going to be as many minutes, just so you can see how it looks. And then
Mm-hmm.
down the road, decide if you want to do it on the outbounds as well. We're also
Okay.
working on a way for you to just cherry pick calls and select the ones you want to analyze so you can just use it to do QA whenever you want. So
Okay.
just something to consider. I know it's an extra cost that agencies may not be prepared to add into their whatever you're charging your customers at that moment to your P&L. So down the
Mm-hmm.
road, just know that this is an option.
Okay.
Voicemail notifications. I typically don't send external voicemail notifications when it's for a client like this. So I usually just leave these off. But if you wanted to send yourself a text or somebody a text when a voicemail happened, that's what this is for.
Okay.
SMS notifications, same thing. I don't send external notifications, but this gives you the
Mm-hmm.
iteability to send yourself a text if you got
Okay.
a message. Incoming SMS auto response. This is something where if you turn this on, somebody text you, you can auto reply. I don't think this is relevant anymore if you're using the bots because the
Yeah.
bot's going to do a way better job than this silly auto response
Right.
is ever going to do. Pipeline statuses. So you know how in high level you have pipelines. We have our own version. Now the pipelines don't talk to each other. Our pipelines are separate than theirs. That's the only thing that doesn't connect. If
Okay.
you ever decided you wanted to mark a lead into a certain stage based off of them calling in, that's what this is for.
Okay.
Script, this is where you can have a default script that is going to be set for this inbound number. Again, if you got a lot of calls coming in, not calls, sorry. If you're using all of your clients on one number, then you wouldn't want to set a select script. But if you did have a client with one number, then that's where you would say, okay, this is the script we're going to use, which we don't have a script in here yet, so no big deal. We'll come back to that. Calendar, you're using high-level calendars.
Mm-hmm.
that you're booking to, so you don't have to worry about this either. Whisper, this is where if an inbound call comes in, somebody can, when they answer the phone, they can hear that it's a call for whatever it is. I just leave that off as well. And agents being assigned to this campaign is also not necessary because they only would need access to this if they're going to be editing it down the road. Is that all clear?
Yeah.
Okay. I know this is like drinking through a fire hose in the beginning. It's
Well,
just
a
after.
lot of it's similar. It's similar functionality.
Okay, cool. It's good to hear you say that because sometimes people are like completely not getting it, and I'm so glad that you're getting it.
We'll see when I try to do this myself.
Yeah, it's on that doc, so it should be pretty easy. And plus, you have this recording, which will be available, so you can always go back and look at that as well.
Yeah.
So next, let's talk about the local presence. Okay, that was the thing that we had talked about earlier. How you set this up per sub account is up to you. Myself, I like to do it by location.
Mm-hmm.
So if I select this, now Allegra is tied to this number. Simple, you're done. So that means any lead that comes in, let me go over here to show you. See how, let's see, column settings, location name. Okay. See how that says Allegra? Let me delete these samples. By the way, when you delete, you have the option to delete just in Hot Prospector or both. Those weren't in high level, so I just have a habit of doing that. But here you see how this says Allegra Wellness Spa next to your name. So our system knows wherever the lead is from. So when we set up the dialer campaign now, it's going to know that this number is to be used whenever it's a lead for Allegra. Every time you set up a new number, you'll turn on local presence, you'll click on this, you'll set the location. That's the only thing you would ever need to do. Okay?
Okay.
Now I'm gonna explain something that might be a little advanced, just in case it happens for you that down the road you might want to use it, and also in case somebody else is watching and they're looking for specific like ways to have this feature. So you see how you have the tag?
Mm-hmm.
So the tag feature is going to do the same thing as location, except for it's based on the tag that the lead has. So let's say, for example, Allegra has two separate numbers that you want to use for a different product or service. Okay. So let's say, for example, you might have a department that just does weight loss, and then they have another department that handles all the other types of things that's at the spa. And so if the inbound calls need to come in, or if you need those numbers to show, that's where you might have Allegra Wellness Spa weight loss, Allegra Wellness Spa, and then here, instead of having the location, you wouldn't have that selected. You would just use the tag for that number. And so that's the way where it's a hack, essentially, for if you had a client that needed multiple numbers where they are controlled, that's where you would do that.
Okay.
And like I said, you probably will never use it, but if you did need to, you could. Okay? What's next on our SOP? Okay, call flow. We already did the integration. Local presence pools we just covered. Scripts and call policy setup. Actually, this should be changed. We call it playbooks, sales playbooks. Still called call policy, but basically that's the terminology. So do you have a script?
A little bit.
You guys just wing it?
I do. I think we have something we provide people when they first start.
Okay. Got you. Look, if it's working for you, it's working for you. You have salespeople. In order to set up the scripts, I'm going to show you where it's at, since if you don't have a script, then obviously we don't want to put it in here. So you're going to go to template. And here under templates is where you'll be able to add text templates, email templates, ringless voicemail templates.
Okay.
So inbound and outbound scripts are separate because the
Okay.
campaign is separate. But here is where you would add the template for the script. So you can say, this is my sample. We'll just call it sample script. And here you can use the tokens from specific sub-accounts if you want. But let's just say first name.
Like, hi, this is Natalie, calling from Allegra Wellness Spa.
Yep. And here are your custom values as well. So if you wanted to use the offer name, if you
It looks
wanted
like you were
to
interested in coming in for our...
Yep. And then down here, if you set a certain tag, then automatically that script will only show for leads that have that tag. For example, Allegra Ruskin. So now you have a script specifically for that.
Okay.
And you can
So we like for different services. So if you're interested in weight loss or cryo slimming or...
Yeah, yes, exactly. But that, unfortunately, like you'd have to have a tag specifically for that. So yeah.
They get tagged in GHL.
Okay.
Depending on how the accounts are set up, we have separate pipelines, but I think they also get tagged.
Perfect. Yeah, mostly what people do is what you just mentioned. They'll have the script based off of the service that they're offering, right? And not for the location. And so like that tag is usually general across all of their sub-accounts. So like maybe it's facelift. Again, I keep on using that one, so we'll just keep it in that. But you've got the facelift tag here.
Okay.
And then they use the custom values to determine the offer, the sub-account, or the location, all that stuff.
Yeah. Okay, I see what you mean. Because we can do things globally now. Before, everything was by sub-account. But you're right. Like we pretty much say the same thing if the offer is similar, right? Or if it's the same service, right? They might have different price points, which I think offer price or something was a custom value.
Exactly.
Okay.
So now that the script is set up, you also have the ability to add rebuttals. And we're just going to add a test rebuttal here. Test. This is the test. Okay, so now that's set up. You can add as many rebuttals as you'd like, and I'll show you when we build the dialer campaign how this is going to look.
Okay.
So
those are like things they would say in response to
common objections, questions, yeah, anything like that. Okay. So we got the scripts policy set up. Okay, global call statuses. Okay. So call statuses, have you used those before?
Like the dispositions? A little bit. Did they answer? Did I leave them a voicemail? Are they not interested?
Exactly.
Is it a bad number? We mark them lost sometimes, like if they are outside the area, they like live too far away.
Perfect. Those are perfect. Okay. So we're going to start with the basics. So you have the, oh, by the way, this status explanation thing, it's good for you and good for the agent just to remember what it is, like what the stat is. But this is actually to be used for our outbound AI agents. The reason why we have these status explanations is at the end of a call, when we do an outbound call, the AI agent can look at all of the call statuses and what they're supposed to be for to determine what the status is of that call that it just did. That's all. So it's more just for that. But you can still put it in there if you'd like. It's not really needed. So I'm going to explain how these call statuses work. By the way, I just want to pause for a second and just say, are you still good?
Can I get a drink?
Yeah, take your time. Go ahead. Yeah,
One
yeah.
second. I'll be right back.
Yes.
I'm back.
Okay. By the way, if you need to take a break, we can always pause for 10 minutes or whatever and then come back. We're about halfway through. Unfortunately, we got stuck on a few things that took a little bit too much time that I know I knew that would happen, but so just let me
Okay.
know. Hopefully we can make it all through this today. That would be ideal. If you want to reschedule though, I totally get it too.
Okay. No, let's keep going.
Perfect. Okay. So back to where we were. Okay, so talking about these dispositions, they have some really powerful features, and there's two ways so there's static features that are built into the call status here
Mm-hmm.
that are global, right? Then
Mm-hmm.
there are workflow level features that are going to be more like adapted based off of how many times that status has been selected. So some things you might want to make static, meaning no matter where it's clicked and wherever campaign, it's going to do this thing. But some things, like for example, if you're sending an automatic text message, you don't want to send the same text message every time you click that dispo. So we have
Right.
inside the workflow an option for you to kind of control that. Okay.
Okay.
So callback, this is a feature type of a call status. So you'll notice on a feature status, you're not able to delete it or edit it because it's fixed. Okay.
Okay.
And the only other one besides callback that is do not call. And actually do not call, we're even more strict. You can't even do anything with it. You can
Okay.
add a tag, which is fine. And actually, I would add a tag for do not call. So why? Because if you don't have it, no, you don't have it. D&D maybe? No. I would add a tag for all of my clients in their sub accounts that says DNC, do not
Okay.
call. And then in here, once you've added that tag, then come in here and add that. The reason for that is because sometimes, like I think I mentioned to you earlier about a client who had this issue, if you resubmit your lists, and maybe you don't have this problem with your clients coming in and messing with their leads, but if somebody resubmits their leads back into our system, they get
Mm-hmm.
re-opted in. So if you
Okay.
made a call and you marked it as do not call, our system knows it as do not call. Now, as you can see, we move it into a group called DNC, right?
Okay.
Which is helpful to make sure that you don't have problems. But if somebody resyncs their leads, they go back into the leads group again. So that's where that problem can come up. So what I suggest is you have a tag called DNC. And so that
Mm-hmm.
way, inside of the dialer,
They're always excluded, even if they
they
get
can be
re-added.
skipped. Yeah, we're
Yeah.
going to add a skip tag inside the dialer called DNC. So if there's ever a problem that happened, it won't cause a lead to be dialed
Okay.
that shouldn't. Cool. So those are the two statuses, callback and do not call, that I wouldn't, you can't mess with. Other than that, everything else is flexible. So the first column is this recall column. So what you want to think of is when a lead hits this status, do I want it to be recycled in my campaign?
Okay.
If it's yes, then it can be recycled. So if somebody says they're not interested, you don't want to keep calling them. But if they left a message, then fine. Now, speaking of that, you have two separate two separate call statuses here. One called no answer, one left message. Myself, I delete left message, and I just have, instead of no answer, I have no contact and keep it general. If you track messages left and you want them to leave messages, then maybe you just have left message, but it's ideal to not have two, I think.
Because I guess no answer. Sometimes if people don't have voicemail set up, that's no answer. You know what I mean?
So
Yeah.
maybe you would just change that to no contact.
Okay.
Or what do you think?
You can leave it no answer for
Okay.
now.
Okay.
We don't
So
really
if you
track
ever,
hang-ups. Like I might delete hang-up.
so hang up is actually pretty good if you think of it this way. Sometimes when a customer, you call them
Mm-hmm.
and you're starting to pitch them and they just hang up on you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a form of not interested.
Mhm.
And sometimes, and I have actually some
But
agencies
sometimes
that
they're just like somewhere where they can't talk.
exactly. And that's the reason why this is perfect. So in those situations, you want to track it. What do you want to do with them? I might set a rule for hangups to call them the next day.
Okay.
So it gives you, you know what I'm saying? Like the inside of the workflow, we might set a if hang up, call tomorrow at this time. That way it gives them time to whatever, and you'll try a different time of the day. So that way there's no problems. But again, just giving you a reason for the
Do you have the option to call them back like right away?
sure.
Okay.
But I typically don't hang ups. I don't call them myself like with it. I wouldn't call them right away unless I knew for sure it was like just a drop call. If there was no reason for them to have just hung up on the middle of me. If I called
Mhm.
them like, hey, this is Mark calling with ABC MedSpa. How's your day going
Mhm.
so far? And they're like, ah, click.
Mhm.
That's obviously what happened there. But if you're talking and everything seems fine and then they hang up, then I would call them back right then.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's the recall status. That's what that means. Email
So
templates,
just
SMS.
write. So I should just write explanations like for the AI bot.
Yeah, if you do the AI bot thing down the road, yeah,
Mhm.
you'll definitely want to do that. So no answer would be, I would say something like this status is used when there is no answer. This includes no voicemail, right? That's,
Mhm.
I would say something like that.
Mhm. Okay.
As long as it's clear for the bot. Now you can see that status is saved. So the next thing is the email text templates. I don't usually use those anymore. This was like version 1, by the way, of our software. Like years ago, this is all we had. We didn't have workflows. So it was
Mhm.
static and it was frustrating. I always used to say, gosh, there's got to be a better way. We built workflows and now there is. But so I personally wouldn't use those unless there's
Okay.
to send somebody something whenever they, I don't know, whatever. So update contact. Now, moving a contact is ideal for certain circumstances where you don't want them to ever be in that group again, and you just want to make sure that they're gone from the leads group. If they're out of the area, it's not a good lead, right?
Right.
If it's wrong number,
Yeah.
any of those types of things, that's
Mhm.
when you would want to do that. Okay. So let's build. Actually, you know what? Before we do this, let me go to groups. And let's add one more thing.
We usually
Sorry.
call them we usually mark them as lost.
Okay. All of them, that's fine.
Well, yeah, in GoHighLevel you can put a reason why they're lost. And
Right.
it's usually like bad number, um, lives too far away, or maybe
Yeah.
they have a contraindication.
So these groups automatically get added whenever you add users. If you don't want your groups to get out of control, you can come in and just delete these because most of the time they don't really matter. And you can always come back and add some more if you want. But I personally, when it comes to the agency setup, I like to keep my groups clean
Hmm.
because if you have too much, it gets a little confusing. Okay. So you said you put them all into one group, just lost. You would put them into one bucket. We'll just call it lost, which is fine. And talking about groups, the way our system works when it comes to groups, you have the ability to assign an agent to have access to that group. If they don't have access to the group, they can't get a lead if it's in that group. In a lost group, I would have access for everybody in case a lead accidentally ended up into this group and they
Okay.
need to be able to pull it back up, meaning they might have accidentally hit out of area they meant to hit appointment. And they're like, oh, no, I can't access that lead, Natalie. Can you find it? So now they can at least still search up the lead and fix
Okay.
that. Okay? Yeah. Okay. So that's that. Now we've created a group called Lost. We just refresh this screen. And so let's, let me move these down to the bottom. It's going to drive me nuts every time we do this. Oh, never mind. They're all at the top. Okay. So let's do out of area. Is that what you call it? That's what we usually call it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Out of area. So now when you add, this is a couple of features that I don't know if you'll ever use it, but one is you can push a webhook to an external system. So if you had a need to tell some outside service that this lead converted, that's when you would use the webhook.
Okay.
Okay. Recall yes or no. This is a static push this lead out kind of thing. If it's clicked, it's not setting a callback for this time. It's just saying don't call it again until after this period of time has passed.
Okay.
So what that means is like you cycled through all of your leads.
Mm-hmm.
It wouldn't
would
call
start
it
over.
again.
Okay.
Yeah, but it wouldn't call
if
it
you don't
again.
have anything.
Exactly. If you set it in an hour, let's say you had 10 people, and I'm just telling you this because I've seen people cause problems with their dialing systems because of this. They have these set up to call back in an hour. Let's say it's not out of the area. Let's say it's answer. They've set it up in here to call back in an hour. The problem is that let's say you had 10 leads, you called those 10 leads. It's not been an hour. Those leads are gone, right? Until after an hour's passed. So it looks like you have a problem in the system, but you don't. So my suggestion is don't use this unless it's like we have workflows that are going to give you more control.
Okay.
Okay. This is where the lead is going. Now, status permission is another really cool feature that allows you to have a specific status that is only available to an agent. So how this works, think of it this way. Maybe you have a conversion metric that you want to put in place or something like that is only that where you want to track which agent actually clicked it. Okay. So maybe I would say Natalie hot lead. Okay. And so then I would assign that status to Natalie, and then inside the dialer where we set up the call statuses, make that available. So what will happen is if Natalie's logged in her account, she's the only one that would see that specific call status. Okay. And why that's cool is because inside our system, we give you the ability to update a tag based off of that status. And our tags give you really cool permissions and stuff like that, but also even if you wanted to have that specific tag for that specific user on a report in high level, it allows you to do that. So it's really good for specific reporting type purposes.
Okay.
There's a lot of kind of Easter eggs in our system when it comes to stuff like this that you may have some fun with if you ever like to geek out on these things like me. Now, when you create a status, you'll notice over here, there are these boxes that you can check. Okay. Oh, by the way, I think I might have skipped this. Here, you can add or remove a tag automatically when a lead is added. Again, I don't use any of these really unless it's like the move group. So here, for example, this is one out of area. I'm going to move it to lost because it's not needed to be dialed again. Get it out of there. So over here, like I said, you got these boxes. Prospect, this is all for lead tracking purposes on the dashboard. Okay.
Okay.
So a prospect is going to be somebody that looks like they should convert but haven't. Usually is how most people use it. And then APT is appointment.
Okay.
So you're going to probably have one here called booked.
Okay.
And so that appointment or that status would be, let's just go ahead and add it, booked.
So we usually do like unscheduled, appointment requested, and then confirmed. Like we have 2 stages.
Perfect. So requested is prospect, right? kind of, or no?
Requested is they selected a date and time, paid their deposit.
Got
So
it. So they haven't converted yet.
right.
So, and again, if I'm wrong on your stuff, just say, Mark, that's not it. I don't really,
Okay.
I'm just telling you
Yeah,
what
because
I would
we
think.
have these like people that are in limbo where they've requested an appointment, but they haven't paid their deposit yet. So like call them like every day.
Right. So that's a prospect,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you said the other one is confirmed.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. You're going to love this on the report because it's going to give you a number that you'll be able to say, this is how many I have. Okay, so confirmed.
We don't
I
need
would
to call
assume
them
no.
after yeah.
Cool. So we've created confirmed, and then this one we're going to call it APT.
Yeah.
Okay. So basically that's an appointment tracking. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Awesome. Okay.
What is the
So
yellow versus the blue?
this is inbound.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we have folders for inbound and then default is outbound.
Okay.
Okay. One thing you got to do when you add a disposition, I'm so glad you brought this up. If you don't have them selected here, they will not show up in your dialer campaign area. So when you add them, like here, you just want to make sure that they're
In the folder.
folder. Yep.
Okay.
And then just double check. Like I said, you might want to double check if they're inside there, if they've been selected. Okay. So these are the two that are conversions, right? Now DM stands for decision maker, but I treat this as like a contact. So if I've selected callback, that means I probably spoke to somebody and they said call me back. So that means I spoke to the decision maker. So I consider that a DM or a contact. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Requested, same thing. Confirmed, same thing. Status, by the way, I'm turning these on because if you don't show these, they won't show up in the dialer. Okay.
Okay.
No answer, not a contact, hang up. I don't think it's I don't consider it a contact. Left message, not interested as a contact. Out of area, it's depending. I would say no because they don't count. I'm going to say we need to delete sale because you don't use it. Am I wrong?
No, that's fine.
Okay, and then no sale. Cool. Now, and then we have wrong number down here, so we're going to do move. And I'm sure you're probably going to come with a whole bunch of other ones, but I think you got the picture here, right?
Yeah, we don't use a ton.
Okay, perfect. So there we go. That's the call statuses area. Now, the next thing on our list is, I'm sorry, let's look at your SOP. Call statuses, dialer campaign creation. Perfect. By the way, this part over here was at the bottom of the list, but it's already been done, so I don't have to do that. The dialer, actually, before we do that, I want to, this is a new feature that we had added after this thing was created, so I just want to go into the call stat, the custom values. Okay, so custom values. Now, there's a feature inside our system that is going to tell you what account you're in, or sorry, which lead you're in when the lead pops up. I like this because it's going to tell you information you might need to know. So we're going to select offer name. Just for now, you can always come back and change this. We're going to select, come on. There we go. See how it is display on overlay? So this is going to show it on this overlay, which we're going to look at. Front desk name. I don't know about the terms and service and things like that, but we'll just add it just for fun. Now, I think you had mentioned you do a deposit, and there's a special link for that, right?
Yep, we can put, so would I make a custom value for the deposit link in GHL and then it'll be pulled in here?
Yep.
Okay.
Cool. So
Mm-hmm.
I thought I remembered that about. I couldn't remember if that was something you and I had talked about or not, but that's where you're going to put this.
Okay.
Okay. So now that we've selected that, let's pull up your lead. There's two places you'll be able to see these overlays. One is in the contact view, which 9 times out of 10, you're never going to be in this area. Your agents will not. By the way, you can see your messages here.
Yeah, does it go both ways?
Yep.
Okay, that's perfect.
Yep. By the way, this is broken. I don't know why. It doesn't normally look like that. There's something going on. It has something to do with the sub account, but just it normally won't look like this. So if I click on this, see how those things popped up? So that's the ones that I selected just now. So there's your link.
Okay, so if I put my deposit links and stuff in there, they would show up there.
That's right.
Okay.
Okay. But now it's going to look different in the dialer. Like I said, most of the time you're never going to go into that contact view. Your agents are going to be doing everything in the dialer. Okay. So let's take a look at the SOP. I just want to make sure there's nothing else. Nope. That's it. Okay. So let's talk about the dialer. We saved best for last. So setting up a campaign, it's easy. Okay. I really think it is. It's just there's a lot of things that you see. So it sometimes gets people to be like a little information overload, but it's not really that big a deal. Now that we've gone through everything, I think you probably understand a lot of this. By the way, I just have to ask, are you like everything so far? Is it clicking?
I think once obviously like having the SOP is super helpful of those steps on adding the locations. I think it's like the more I use it, like part of it's just that I hadn't memorized your menus yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And so that's why I'm slow is because I don't know where
of course.
all the headers are. But I think once I familiarize myself with it and we set up a few accounts, then we'll know where everything is.
Cool. All right, so we're going to call this, what is this campaign going to be for?
Let's say new leads. Are we going to?
Yeah, I like that idea. So
Okay.
fresh leads or new leads or whatever you want to call it is ideal. If I were going to set my clients up for the best success, I would have a fresh lead campaign where everybody goes into, and then I would have my stale leads campaign where they're going, when they're out of fresh leads, they're calling to try to book some stuff, right? Or for whatever other reason. So we're going to set up the group. Now you can see when I selected the group, your lead popped up, okay? But if we go in to contacts, let's look at your lead real quick. So you have this tag here called imported leads, right? So let's just say I said, don't call anybody that has imported leads. Poof. Now there's 0 leads.
Okay, so it tells me how many it's finding.
Yep. That's what these are for, filters.
Okay.
Best way to do it would be what a lot of our clients are doing nowadays when they do the aged lead campaigns is they'll have a fresh tag on every lead that comes into their dialer in addition to that contact or the sub account tag. And that fresh tag would be here, right? On this tags to dial, you would have a fresh tag. And then tags to skip would be client, DNC, blah, 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 right? And then remember when we were talking about aging the lead to stale inside of high level? When the lead ages, if the fresh tag is removed and the stale tag is added, so that automatically removes them from this group.
Okay.
Or not group, but from this campaign.
That all sounds good.
I just want to make sure because and actually this
that's like the easiest part, or that's the most
good.
That's the most.
Yeah, it's logical, right?
Yeah.
That's what I was saying. Once you get this part set up to here, it's easy. So let's go back.
So we do Google leads as well, and those convert at a higher rate. So we could if we put tags to dial in order, we could if we put Google before fresh, would it make them at the top of the list?
Yeah. So you jump to that feature here. So if you do tags to sort by tag on,
Mm-hmm.
see how this is now on
Mm-hmm.
and this is not, right?
Okay.
So
So
if you
it's
do this,
like
yeah,
prioritized or not.
exactly.
Okay.
But keep in mind, new leads are already going to be prioritized. So if it's a Google tag or Google lead that comes in and fresh, I don't know how many leads you have coming in. So some of this may not even be necessary. But if you want to do that, yeah, you can. And it really
Okay.
depends. I think you might have to play with it a little bit to decide best
Or
because
just start
you're,
with simple.
yep. Like how
Okay.
many leads do you think is going to be in the hundreds, thousands
It depends on how many accounts I put on. Are you talking per day or,
total in the fresh campaign?
oh, there, there's a few hundred. That, so there's probably too many, like you were saying. There's probably over 10,000 right now.
Those are new leads from the last couple weeks
But
or so.
that's what you're saying. Like right now we only have new leads that are less than 30 days old, and then they get moved to stale. And from what you've said, we need to make some in between there.
You can. You could just do stale. You don't have to do that. I
Okay.
wouldn't even worry about. I would just have two for right now: fresh
Okay.
and old. Right.
Okay.
The fresh leads need to be prioritized. 30 days is plenty. By the way,
Okay.
most people go. But if some of my clients really want to get really granular on that time frame, the 2 weeks,
Hmm.
and they
Hmm.
treat those leads from 2 weeks to 60 days completely different
Okay.
than they do from somebody who's 60 days all the way out to whatever. So they have those three buckets. But again,
Okay.
two is fine as well. It's just that
Okay.
that window from 2 weeks to 60 days is really good because here's what happens. Remember when we were talking about before how sometimes people get hammered with calls in the
Hmm.
beginning when they opt in? They
Hmm.
stop taking calls for about 2 weeks.
Hmm.
And then they start picking them up again after that 2 weeks because what happens? Their phone stops
Slows
ringing.
down. Yeah.
Yep. So that's why you might want to do that.
Okay. We also have a stage and a tag that's like hot lead, which is basically like when they reply to it, like if they call us back or reply to a message. And so we want to call those people.
Sure. Yeah. Those leads would be if somebody replies or calls back,
Hmm.
are they already in your system? They're already a lead, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
I mean, if they call you, they're going to be answered inside of the dialer, so you're probably going to miss less of those. But if they called you today, what we could do, okay, I'm going to show you an idea. I'm so glad you brought this up. You're really stretching my creativity now. So we have this thing in our system called tag automation,
Hmm.
okay? So tag automation allows you to do something when you get a tag. What you
Okay.
could do is we're going to create a tag called, would you call it inbound
Hot
call
lead.
or hot
We
lead?
call them, yeah, hot lead.
Okay, so hot lead is the tag. Oops. And oh, I didn't go into this default permission, so I'm glad actually we're here. This is skipping a little out of order, but when you add a tag, you have default, which means everybody in the system has access to it. Access permission allows you to say which members have used access to it.
Okay.
And admin just means you, okay?
Hmm.
By default, everybody has it. So we're going to say hot lead.
Hmm.
Oh, you already have it in here. Perfect.
Yeah, it exists.
So what we could do is do this. On a hot lead, when that tag gets added,
Hmm.
we will remove lead. Oh, sorry, I'm in tag. Sorry. We'll remove lead group, and then we'll add lead group.
Why are you doing that?
Because it's going to refresh the lead like it's new.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Uh,
that's basically what we want to do. Because they could be
because,
like so old, but once they re-engage, yeah, they're
yep.
re-engaged.
So once it does this, it's essentially just cycling them in that group. When it cycles, it comes in as a new lead, and now it's going to go to the top of your list.
Okay. Perfect.
Okay, so we're back here again.
I
just
think
was thinking,
the one to skip would be like client.
yeah, which I don't see in here.
All the accounts are a little bit different, which will.
Yeah, which is fine. You can add whatever in here. Maybe it's customer. I don't know. But
Yeah. Okay.
you
Or
just have to look in here and see. Let's see. How
what tags I have confirmed or something. Paid deposit. Yeah. If they paid a deposit, we don't want to call them again.
There you go.
Okay. And so is this campaign setting for all my locations or is it sub-account specific? Is it a global campaign?
Yeah, this is global. See how, okay, so there's a couple ways you can do the tags now. One way I was telling you is to keep it simple and not have to have a whole bunch of tags to set up a bunch of different tags here. You could just make sure that every fresh lead gets that fresh tag for every location. The other way is, see how I just added Allegra, Newskin, or Ruskin, sorry. You could do that as well for every client that you want to dial for, and you don't have to have a fresh tag. Then you would just add an aged tag when they become aged. It's depending on how you want to do it. I personally like the fresh tag because then this is cleaner.
Okay.
You don't have to have 100. If you have 87 clients in here, you're going to have 87 tags to dial.
Yeah.
Right? Which is a lot to manage as well.
Okay. Yeah, fresh tag is easier.
Yep. So I'm just going to leave this on here for right now just so you understand what it's for.
Okay.
Okay. So maximum, okay, so we covered the sort by tag. This right here, I wouldn't even really worry about this so much. It's more for a dashboard report just to give you an idea. For example, if I set this, there's a report that we have where you can see the breakdown of leads that have such and such tag. It's, I don't know, I don't really find that report as really as useful as I thought it would be when I first got it or set it up, but you can always revisit this later.
Okay.
The sorting order is by default newest to oldest. Personally, I don't think you should change that. Assigned to member is where you say who's allowed to dial these leads. So I'm assuming you guys are going to have, who's going to be in this campaign? Everybody?
All of them, yeah. Eliza doesn't call. She's my assistant.
But she might need to have access to it. Well, actually, we'll probably make her like an sub manager.
Okay.
So she'll have a higher level permission. Maximum dial attempts. This is the number of attempts that this lead could ever receive inside of this campaign. I have it set at 20. You can reduce that. What do you think?
20 is fine. Because we would only get there if we had gone through the list 20 times.
This is the idea, though. You want to get through that. You want it to cycle out because if you don't, then you're just never going to stop dialing your leads and it's going to get bad because...
Yeah, I want to have a limit, but...
Yeah. I think, because I don't know how you're billing. This is why I was asking about the charges, about how you do it.
Yeah.
Because if you put, let's say it's 10, you can only call so many times for what they're paying. So if you have a retainer of 15.
Is there a way for me to bill them? No, bill my clients for the calling charges. Because like in GoHighLevel, it's their card on file that gets charged for the.
I personally would just charge them. I would just charge them like a fee. Like you're looking at realistically, you said you're doing about 70 calls per client, maybe or less. I think you had mentioned somewhere. Okay, so let me just show you like what you're looking at here. Because I would definitely charge them if I were you. Or just add it into your bill. But if I'm doing, let's just say you're doing, is 50 a good number? 100? What do you think is a good number?
Yeah, do 50.
Okay. So let's say 50, and let's say you're getting a 25% answer rate. That's 12 calls a day. Okay. Let's say the average call when you get them on the phone is what? 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's 62 minutes times 22 days. That's 1,375 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
roughly. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just say you round up on the Twilio. It's like less than this, but just round up. That's $30
A
for the
month.
month. Yep.
Okay, that's not.
And no, that's what I was saying. It's not that much. Then you have $1 for the Twilio the phone number. So now you're at 28.50. So you might, just to keep it safe, charge them $100.
Mm-hmm.
You could charge more. It's up to you.
Okay.
It's just some way. That's the simple way to do it. One day we will add a way for you guys to do this
Mm.
because it is ideal to be able to charge them for those minutes. Just get their credit card, put it in there, and then
Yeah.
bam. Every time you make a call, you're hitting their card.
That $20 once you spend $20 or something. Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, you wouldn't want to hit it every time you make a call. Could you imagine?
I
That's
would hate
5 cents. That's 5 cents. Okay, cool. So we're going to say for right now, just to keep this simple, let's just do 10. I think 10 is a good number, or do you find you call past 10?
No, 10 by 10 they either book or not,
Got
I
you.
think.
That's perfect. And then how many maximum times per day would you call a lead?
Pro- Probably 4 would be the most, but that would only be like if they have an appointment tomorrow, they haven't confirmed it. I call them in the morning, they don't answer. I'm trying to call them again to try to get it confirmed tomorrow. So I think
Yep.
4 is good.
So 4, okay, so this number is really not, this is only determined on the number of cycles on the lead, for the leads themselves per day, not necessarily how many dials you can make. For example, what I mean is if you schedule a call back for a lead and you keep on scheduling it, it's called 10 times in a day, that's fine. That doesn't go against this. This is
Okay.
mainly just cycles. So 4 is a lot. I would probably set it to 2 or 3.
That's fine.
Okay. But you can always change that down the road. Lead ringing time, I don't touch this.
Okay.
Enable SMS VM, that's going to show this thing up here, your messaging thing inside the dialer campaign if that's on, which you want. Any caller ID, skip it. That is if you're using somebody else's caller ID inside of the system, which you shouldn't do because it's going to mess up your answer rates. It doesn't work. When you are basically verifying another number to use as your caller ID, it doesn't have the proper permission, I guess, to be used, and so it's more likely you'll show up as spam. Is what I'm getting
Okay.
at. Calendar, leave this to set default or use default calendar. If you're booking inside their high level, automatically it'll show the list of calendars, and you can select which one you need to book for.
So the
Call
calendar is
handler,
already connected?
yeah, yep,
That's one thing that's easy, right?
yeah. The whole thing is actually easier after it's set up, but yeah, there's just
Okay.
a lot of options. Policy, script, right? These are the things that we already created. If you wanted to, if you wanted to set one as your default, like that one that we created, the sample script, you could.
Okay.
The phone number, now this is your fallback number, okay? So you can use your 877 number as your fallback.
Mm-hmm.
That's just if you don't have a number that would match where you're calling, but that shouldn't happen usually, okay?
Okay.
You're going to set local presence to on. Don't use default flow. We're going to use location.
Okay.
Remember when I set that location in the phone number?
Mm-hmm.
I know that was a while ago. Let me just refresh you. So here, where I put location,
Mm-hmm.
okay. So now that's where in the dialer, we've set our local presence treatment as location. So automatically it'll select the lead's location and use the appropriate number.
Mm-hmm.
If you ever change any of this stuff, you have to reset your previous caller ID because by default, our system's always going to use the same caller ID that it used last time. So if, for example, let's say you made a mistake on a campaign you built and you set default flow, and then you wanted to go back later and use auto select location, it's still got that last number unless you reset this. That's all.
Okay.
Expire callback. Okay. So this, if you set up a callback as an agent inside of the system and it goes beyond the time that you were supposed to have called that lead, it sits, by default, it's on no. It sits in that callback status. Now, the problem is when a lead is scheduled as a callback, it is automatically pulled out of the queue. So that could be a problem if the lead sits in callback and the agent's completely forgotten about it. They'll see it if they go into their list of callbacks. I'll show you in a moment. But it's a problem if they don't go in there and remove it. You can set it to expire automatically.
Okay.
That's you on how you want to do that. What do you think? Expiring expires at the end of the day.
Then I would leave it in there for now.
Say no then?
Yeah.
Okay. You'll be able to see them. If it becomes a problem, you can always come in here and turn it on. Best way to handle it, and I do it the same way, is I just train my reps to, hey guys, just these callbacks, if they go in here, they stay in here, they're out of the queue. The only time you get reminded of that callback is the first time, that one time. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, so recording, you can record your calls automatically?
Yeah, so you're covering up my, I can't see that box. Let me move you. There we go. Yeah, let's record the calls.
Okay, cool. AI assistant is off if you turn this on. Again, you can't do it yet because you haven't set up your AI assistant, but that's the AI agent that's making outbound calls on your behalf. So we will talk about this some other time. Okay, so leave that
Okay.
off. But if you did do that, you can have a bot making all your calls and we'll fire all of our Americans and they can go somewhere else. No, I'm kidding. Okay, so call statuses here. These are already set. These are the ones that we already created. Inbound, you don't have to worry about that. It's already done. By the way, all you would have to do if you wanted to deselect one that doesn't belong in that campaign is just deselect it. Lead details, these are fields that you would need. Do you have fields that should be showing up here?
We don't have custom fields. It's just like name, phone number.
Can you sign this?
Yeah. Is this just saying that
You
I'm
understand that you're supposed to tell people that the calls are being recorded.
yes.
Yeah, it looks like the only custom field that they have is that one. You're right, just date of birth.
We don't even collect date of birth, but
Okay.
I
You
think
guys
they
are
recently.
super easy. Yeah, this is too easy, actually. Just something, if you ever want to do it, we're going to add a section. We'll call it additional info for now. Just want to show you how this works if you ever have a client that's not easy. And here, section, select that additional info section we just created. So that's like your folder. Now, inside the dialer, that will show up here, but I'm going to leave it for right now because I don't want to have to refresh the screen. Workflows. Now, the workflows is where you have the flexibility to build out your call cadence, okay? So let's say, for example, call status is no answer, okay? Now, there's two ways that you can do this. One way would be any attempt. Every single time you hit no answer, it's going to do the same thing. Or after a certain number of attempts, okay? It depends on how aggressive you want to be here. Some people just do a basic one, or you could just say after the first attempt, call back, waiting period. Like the first attempt, maybe you want to do 30 minutes.
Okay.
Because it's new, it's a fresh speed, right? So we'll do that one, and then let's do another one. And let's say second attempt. And let's do, I don't know, 2 hours. We're just
Yeah,
filling it
we
in.
could like make a plan for this, but yeah.
Yep. Yep. And something like this is actually going to work because
Okay.
you're calling them 3 times that first day, maybe
Mm-hmm.
at least. What I would do if I were the agent, dial the first time. If they don't answer, hang up and dial one more time. So just a double, don't do a triple dial,
Mm-hmm.
do a double and then disposition the lead as no answer. And then in 30 minutes, it's going to reschedule itself to pop back up automatically to whatever agent gets that lead. And then they'll call that lead. And then if they hit no answer again, then it's going to come back up again now in 2 hours. Then after that day, then you don't have to have any more workflows if you don't want to. Then it could just follow just the regular cadence.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So this is simple. Like you don't have to add a cadence for every call unless you want to. If you want to. I would do one for the no answer status and I would do one for the left message status. So we do one. We'll just, to follow the same kind of format, we'll do waiting period of 30 minutes on the first attempt only.
Okay. So if you left a message instead of no answer, then you're still going to call them back.
Yep.
Try them again in a couple hours.
Exactly. And in this case, we're just assuming that the lead is brand new because they've only received a couple of calls. After the no answer has been hit once or twice, now it's not giving it any more cadencing. It's just going to keep recycling the lead as long as it's not more than 10 calls. For 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, it's just following the normal pattern. I really think that should be enough for you. You don't have to go much more than that. So that's set up. See? Another easy thing.
Yay.
All right. So you have completed your journey. You've made it to the end of your dialer sequence. It's done. One thing I just want to do real quick because I did add that section. So here under lead details, see how it says additional info? That's that section that I created. So now that I've set that and I've selected date of birth, that section is going to show in the dialer. So I'm going to go into the dialer now. Let's go ahead and start it.
Okay. And call me.
Yeah. So by the way, now that this is already set up, you can actually clone these campaigns. So if I click new and duplicate, all of the settings that we set got tagged or got duplicated.
Okay, so I don't have to add the people every time. Like if I'm just going to change the tag, the group's the same. Okay.
This is why I say about Hot Prospector, it's only hard the first time, right? Once
the
you get
first 4 hours.
No. Yeah, just 4 hours. Come on. Actually, imagine if you didn't have me, it probably would have took you 10.
I would have quit.
Or 50. No. Probably you would have, right? That's normal. But hey, so you've got the campaign set up. Okay, I'm just going to delete the one we just built. But you saw I just duplicated that pretty easy. Yeah,
that's good.
Here under this is where you can see the leads that are in your campaign. So this right here is how many leads. This is, if you mouse over it, should calls, how many calls. This is uncalled leads. And then this, by the way, as you can see, this is super important. I'm so glad you're in Florida. See how this is red? By default, we have this extra permission because Florida is special. Okay? We have to make sure that you have permission to dial these leads. So can you sign this?
Yeah.
You only have to do this once per campaign. So when you set up a client or a new campaign, make sure you do this. Because if you have people in Florida, their leads will not be dialed if you don't do that. So now you'll notice this is blue. So that means it's good. Now, if you this is another really cool feature. It's called block states. So let's say you have a client who's in New York. You have a client who's in New York. And let's say New York has a disaster and says no calls.
Yeah, we just had 2 hurricanes in Florida.
So all you do is come in here and you block the state.
Okay.
So if I selected New York, which I can't find, there it is. Now, all of the leads that I have in my system that are in New York, won't be able to receive the call
Okay. Until you unblock it.
until you unblock it.
If
Yeah,
there's like a state of emergency.
exactly. Which
Okay.
nowadays is happening all the time.
Yeah, we really did just go through a couple in the past few months here.
Yep. So that's super helpful. We're going to go ahead and let's see here. Okay, one more thing here, these little things, okay? This is showing you your disposition statuses if you wanted to see them here versus logging into the campaign. This is your callback schedule. So remember, I was telling you how if your agent schedules a callback, it'll show up in your list. You'll be able to see all of them. If it's expired, it'll be yellow.
Okay.
So you'll see the date and stuff that callback was added in here. We'll add one so you can see it, but you can also remove them from this list. So if it's, let's say you've got an agent, they're gone, like they're sick, they're on leave of some kind or whatever, and they have callbacks in their queue, just delete them and they'll automatically go back into the cycle queue.
Okay.
Okay, I think we're good. Okay, let's go ahead. Oh, one more thing. Do you guys do live transfers?
No.
Okay, if you ever do live transfers, this is where you can add the phone number to be able to live transfer to from within the system.
Okay.
So it will show up in the transfer option inside of the Hot Prospector. Okay?
Okay.
All right, so let's go ahead and start the campaign. Here, the first thing you're going to want to do is set your time zone that you want to dial. So if you don't care, whatever time of the day, see how this is green? That means it's okay in that area to call. If it's red, it's like an indicator, hey, don't dial here.
Okay.
Right? You should be getting a call. And it'll probably show up as like spam or something. I don't know if it will because your number's not verified yet.
No, it's good. I'm getting it.
Okay, good. Good, good. So if you answered that call, go ahead and answer it.
Hello.
Do you hear yourself?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So we can go ahead and hang up. So there, you've made your first call. Okay. You'll notice over here on the notes, you've got your info that's happened or things that's happened inside of our system. Anything you add. So if you wanted to add a note here, hey there, this is a test. That's going to automatically add that note to GoHighLevel. Okay.
Oh, cool.
This call.
It adds in the notes. Yeah.
Yep. This call recording is also in GoHighLevel as well. That link.
In the notes?
In the notes.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
So any dispositions you add, those get timestamped automatically and they get added into the notes.
Okay. Perfect. That's good.
Okay. Phone script. There's that sample script.
I could add
our
it
rebuttal.
Yeah.
Texting.
What is weather?
So if you wanted to see the weather where you're at, as long as you have the address, it'll work. If you're calling, into Las Vegas, and if you have the city state in there, then it'll show you the weather.
Okay.
I just clicked on SMS, so if I want to send Natalie a message, I can send her a message here. Should just send it from... It should just send it from your number by default. Let me see. Did you get that?
I did. And it said Allegro too.
Yeah, that's from Allegra. So it's sending it from Allegra's phone number.
Which is great. From the GHL one? Okay.
Yep. And you can see all of the GHL stuff here.
Yeah.
That they might have communicated with. Any new messages shows up here. So anything from GoHighLevel will show up here. All of your agents can click here and it'll show
if I
alts.
reply.
Yeah, go ahead and hit reply. It may not show when you're on this specific dial, actually, but we can still click it. Did you reply? Hi. Normally what will happen, it's just in between dials, it doesn't do it because, but when you go to the next screen, you'll see you would have saw the message icon here.
Okay, that somebody replied to me or sent me a message. Okay.
And I see your message still. I just knew you messaged. That's why I was able to click in there and see it. But typically it would have showed up in unread. Yep.
So in unread messages, is that just for this lead or for all the leads?
All their leads.
Okay.
So this is like a group area where everybody can just like see those new messages and get on them right away.
Okay. What about, I think I saw somewhere where there was like a commission tracker.
Yep. We can go into that after we get out of the dialer for sure.
Okay. Okay.
So the start is also neat. If I wanted to make sure I followed up with you later, I put you in the start. Now you're
Okay.
start. That's a handy little feature. Same thing happens for voicemails. If you get a call and somebody leaves a voicemail, those are going to show up here. Okay. Now something to keep in mind. Let's say that Natalie had just messaged in. She's, hey, I'm super interested. Call me back. You're like, great. I'm going to call you back. Just say, finishing up a call. I'll call you back. And then after I'm done, schedule his next call.
Okay. You can like interrupt your flow to get to that person.
Exactly. So she'll be pulled up next.
Okay.
Okay. So now I'm all done. Oh, by the way, remember that stuff that we were talking about? Those are here. There's that link. So if we had that payment link in here, you click on that, boom, there it takes you right to your payment link.
Okay.
Any questions?
No, this is the fun part.
Yeah, this is where it
Right.
gets easy, right?
Yeah.
Here's where you can pull up a lead if you need to, if you have the phone number and you want to search them up if you're an agent. Callbacks. Let's go ahead and schedule a callback. Let's say Natalie's, I'm at work, call me later today. Okay, let me do that. Call you back. Oops. Goodness.
Okay, good. And they can assign the callback to themselves, or if they leave it blank, would it be?
It's actually automatically assigned to them, yeah. They can assign it to somebody else if they want it.
Okay.
So
But can you leave it blank or like to the group if you don't know who will be like working at that time?
It's actually automatically assigned to that person. That's the only downside, yeah. But that's actually another good feature. Maybe we could do like a callback that just goes to whoever.
Yeah, because I know sometimes they're like, oh, this person wants to call back at 8 o'clock at night, my time, but I'm not going to be on then. You can call them.
That's a good idea, actually. I'll look into that as a feature. So move to next call. If I have this checked, when I click add callback, the disposition will be callback and it'll just go to the next lead.
Okay.
Okay. If I don't select that, so let's say, for example, I book the lead as a prospect and I want to schedule a callback to do the confirmation that you were mentioning. So it's requested and I'm calling back to confirm at 9 o'clock or whatever. Let's say it's 8 o'clock tomorrow or today. Confirm them. Now, I wouldn't want to do add the callback and move to the next lead. First, I would add the callback, and then we're going to mark it as requested. And now it says, is this a prospect? Yes. That's to confirm because we want to make sure our report is super easy. Now, they're getting this message. This shouldn't pop up for you, but the reason why this is popping up is because of the setting.
Only one in there. Yeah.
Yep. Okay, so we're just going to cancel in this dialing. And now, remember I said the callback thing would show up in the list? Of course.
Well, it's not due yet?
Nah,
I don't know
it
when
still
you
should be
scheduled
showing.
it for. Okay.
Things are getting all weird right now, so I'm hoping that.
Okay.
Is that on
So,
your side or what? I think it just got all slow. I'm hoping that this is not the system.
Let me check my internet. I still have internet.
Yeah, because everything's going fine except for you. I just checked in a different browser. All right, we're just, for some reason, things are they're stuck. Let me stop this. Let's click on dashboard. Okay, did you have some questions?
Oh, can you show me how does the commission thing work? Or And if I want to learn more, so two things. I heard you had a video like to show agents how the dialer works.
Yep.
Where do I find that?
Yep.
And then how does the commission calculator or tracker, like the payroll functions work?
I don't know what's going on here.
I need
Of
a new
course,
computer.
now look, it fixed itself after I killed the cookies. So it's going to refresh and you're going to have to log back in. Oh no, I guess not. Okay, I guess I didn't kill it.
What is agent profitability?
Yeah, so this is, all these things that you were just mentioning are related. Yep, that's actually really good. I just don't know why things are going so slow all of a sudden. All right, so let's look at this dashboard. Then I'm going to move to the commissions, and then we'll go into this other stuff here as well. So the call that we just made shows up here, right? That was the call that we made in Natalie. You can see there was an answer call in 1 minute. You made your first call, your last call. Actually, if it was a shorter call, 35 seconds, it doesn't show as an answer, by the way.
Okay. And does everyone have access to this dashboard or just the manager?
No, everybody sees their own, but the manager sees everybody. Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know if there was a peer pressure element or not.
That's actually not a bad idea, but some people don't. We should, maybe down the road, we'll add like a setting for that. So here's where you can turn on
or like a
columns.
leaderboard. You could make it positive.
Exactly. You could be positive about it. So-and-so is doing better. So here, remember I marked it as a prospect? So prospects are your requested. So if I click on that, you can see all of your requested.
Okay.
And then you can also listen to the recording.
Okay.
So it's easy for you to do your stuff. For some reason, am I seeing this? Oh, never mind. Okay.
I don't know why that popped up.
Yeah, I don't either. That was weird. Oh, I know why. Because your Twilio, there's a setting that we're going to have to do for you to be able to listen to the recordings.
Okay.
That's something you'll have to get in support to help you with. Because I don't have access to it here, the article. But it's a real simple thing.
Okay.
So that's the recordings. Sorry, not the recordings, but the dashboard here. Your agent breakdowns are going to show up here. Let's go in and look at the commissions stuff that you're asking. So how do you pay in commissions?
They get paid for appointments they confirm.
Okay, perfect. So confirmed. Okay, cool. See, now I get to find out all the details. Here we go. Where is it? Payroll. Okay. So under payroll, you would want to create commissions. And what is your start day? Monday?
Yes.
And then when's your in Saturday?
Monday through Sunday.
Okay. And then we're going to add the commission. So we actually have tiered commission if you want.
You're on I have to keep moving the little video screen around. Oh, I can move you over here, but then I'm not looking at you. 1 second. You're back up here. Let's try that. Go ahead.
All right.
It's fine.
So how much, do you guys have a tiered commission or is it all the same?
Right now, it's all the same.
Okay, so we'll just do 1 to 99 because I don't know. If you guys are doing 99 appointments, if someone does 99 appointments, good job. What's the number?
In a week? Is this in a week?
Yeah, in a week.
Okay, $19.
Okay. So that's it. So what we're going to do now is we're going to come over here.
Oh, so if they book, you can do that automatically. But it's not per sub account. It's just like overall.
Overall, correct.
Okay. And then if the time tracker in here, I know you showed that it shows what time they do their first dial, the gap time. Is the time tracker tracking like the duration from their first to their last call or their
Just the amount
active
of time, their dialing time.
Okay.
Yep. And if you were paying them hourly,
Uh-huh.
then you could put that in and it would track their hourly.
Okay.
But you don't pay hourly, right?
No.
Yeah. And break time would be like how much time you automatically added on if they have paid breaks.
Okay.
But again, since you're not doing that, you don't have to worry about it. So we've just set the commissions. So now let's go back to the dashboard. And what'll happen is if we go in, I don't think it'll work for you because you're a manager and I don't think I put you on comp plan. Let me just double check. Yeah, the manager doesn't count. So we couldn't test it with you. But what we could do, actually, let's log in as a team member. Let's go into Olivia's account. She's not your manager, right?
Mm-mm.
Speaking of that, before we do it, who's your manager again? Oh,
Eliza.
okay. So if I click on member, it
Mhm.
allows me to upgrade her to sub-manager. So
Okay.
now she's sub-manager. Okay. So let's log in as Olivia.
So they all now have accounts they can sign into Hot Prospector?
Yeah, but I don't know if they got a login sent to them, so you might have to change that and send them over access.
Okay.
Okay. So here is, let's go into the dialer. I'm going to start the campaign. I'm just going to check the tracking on the commission. I'm just curious. Let me go in and kill that.
All right, because we did the callback. It doesn't want you to call me.
Yeah, I'm just going to, shoot, I can't do it from here. I'm going to go back to the manager. See, this is where it shows. If I
Okay,
remove
the
it,
callback showed up now. Okay.
yeah, there was some weird thing going on. I don't know if it was a cookie related or what, but all right. So anyways, now that's removed, you should be able to call. Okay. Say yes. See, when you get to the end of your campaign, it's already been called once. It's asking if you want to recycle it. So they say yes. Now it starts at the beginning. Okay. Now let's say we mark this as confirmed.
Mhm.
And it's yes. It's asking if I scheduled the appointment already. Okay.
Mhm.
So now should see. I see the appointment. Commissions did not calculate, but I think that happens at the end of the day. But the commission should show up here.
Oh, and it would show them like how much money they made today?
Yeah.
Oh,
But
that's
it should,
motivating.
yeah, but I don't know why. It should, I think it calculates every, I don't know. I got to double check on that.
Okay.
To be honest with
So then
you,
if
go ahead.
so then if I were to run my payroll to pay them, can I pull a report of that?
To verify them, I would do it based off of the, when you're saying, what are you trying to look for? You're looking for the, whether or not they show or confirmed, because anybody can click confirmed. But you might need to,
Okay. We would still have to check it against our
yeah,
team.
because they could say they did it and
Mhm.
may not be. Yeah, like if they said they did it, then wait, let me
We
add the
check,
commission.
we double check everything now. Right now, they manually track it. We do have a
Mhm.
we have a spreadsheet connected to GHL when it gets marked confirmed. So I
Okay,
guess it's the same.
right. But
But
at
it's
least on
nice for
this
them
side,
to see, yeah, it's
yeah,
a total for them.
yeah,
Okay. And we see
cool.
appointments this week.
And then the same thing goes for profitability. You asked about the profitability. So
Hmm.
in here, it should be adding that number in. So you'll know who's booking, this shows you their calls, how many answered, their answer rate, total minutes they've talked, their gap time, their working time. So if you have their payroll added into this,
Hmm.
then it's going to calculate how many appointments that they booked
Hmm.
and what your costs were. And that actually counts in your commissions. But it doesn't count in your fixed amount, which actually you have a certain situation that I'm interested. We might have to make a little adjustment to our system to allow for you to put in a fixed rate per agent because then,
And I might change it because that was based on them being responsible for individual accounts. Where here they're not, if they're using this dialer, they're not responsible for individual accounts anymore.
yeah, let me know about that. I'm curious because I like your model. That is actually pretty smart, by the way.
Okay.
Any questions?
I'm sure I'll have more once I start using it. But yeah, I just want to get more locations added in here, get all their leads in here.
By the
Um,
way, this is actually something I want to bring up before we forget. This
mhm.
tag overview, this is where you see your locations. So
Okay.
see Allegro Ruskin.
Hmm.
Here you could see when the first call was made for them during this time period, the last call. If you ever want to check to see if leads are being dialed, you can easily see that here. Your speed to lead was 4 minutes. How many leads you have is just you, one. You've called it twice, so dials per lead is twice.
Hmm.
And then what's your prospects and your conversion on prospect and dials to prospect, so it's 2 calls to get a prospect.
Hmm.
And then here you could turn on other stuff like answers over 60 seconds or answers over 90 seconds,
Hmm.
and then appointment metrics. So now I personally like answers over 60, answers over 90. They tell a better story than just answers
Hmm.
because regular answers is 35 seconds.
Hmm.
But if you have an answers over 90, then that tells you their conversations,
Hmm.
which is really what you want to know, right? If somebody's struggling
Yeah.
with conversation, this will, or if a location's struggling with conversation, this will tell you. That's really useful. You're like, hey, we're getting a lot of just people saying blah, blah, blah. Maybe the
Hmm.
marketing team needs to know.
Hmm. Okay. That looks good.
I know it took us a little bit longer than we thought, but I think at the end of the day, it's worth it. We got a couple other tabs we can go into at some later time, but for the
Hmm.
most part, you are pretty set.
Okay. I'll get to work.
Are you excited?
I am excited. I think it'll be more exciting when I have leads in there and we're
Yeah,
making real call, like the team is in there, and then I see what starts happening.
it's going to be
And then,
huge.
yeah, I hope so.
A couple other things I should tell you just because we didn't go into this. We didn't add them here. If you want to change their passwords, just go over here, click on edit, and you can go to update password. That's their login email, and then you could
Okay.
change the password to whatever you want, and then
Okay.
just submit it. Because I
Okay.
don't know if the way this works, I would think the way it works, I've never done what you and I just did before,
Okay.
but I think it should send them an email with their login, but I don't know. So
Okay.
if it
If not,
didn't,
I'll just tell them.
yep, you could just change that there. One more thing that you might want to know is call reports. Here is where you see just all of the calls. You can look at filters. You can look at calls by a filter. And then here's where your recording is.
Okay.
Okay, so in case you ever need to get to that. So team, reports, contacts, and dashboard, those are probably going to be the ones you use the most, obviously in Dialer.
Mm-hmm.
Campaigns, this is building out campaigns where you can do a drip sequence from Hot Prospector. So this kind of eliminates high level. Some people don't use high level who use Hot Prospector. So we have our own text strips, ringless voicemails, emails. So you could have a sequence in here. The AI agents, that's the thing you and I said we'll do at a different time, but that AI agents is going to allow you to respond to texts automatically, answer phone calls, make calls, so on and so forth.
Okay.
Cool?
Yeah. I know next week's Thanksgiving. Can we schedule another meeting to do the AI agent?
Yeah, anytime.
Okay.
Schedule it. You just tell me when.
Okay. Call
You
your
have
agent.
my...
Call your agent and book it.
Actually, I just called you from my cell phone. So you have it on your phone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so just text me or call me and we can set up another meeting and we'll just record it.
Okay.
For all the people that are watching this, which by the way will be a lot of people who watch this 4-hour meeting.
Really?
Yes. If
I
they're watching
I had never thought this before, but I did on one of your last videos. I was like, is there no way to speed up YouTube? Using audiobooks? Like you can go a little faster?
Yeah, you can. There's an option to speed it up 2x. But
Okay.
this, I'm going to edit a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
And then after it's all said,
So I don't
said and
get
done.
hacked by the world.
Yeah, no, I'm mainly going to, yes, that, obviously. I will never put your info out there. The main thing is I'm going to take out like all of those gaps. So this meeting's probably only about 2.5 hours.
Okay.
So once we're all set and edited,
Yeah,
you'll have access to that too.
I am really interested in seeing like what happens with our conversion rates, and because that's really the only metric I have right now.
Yep. Your speed to lead's going to go through the roof. Your answer rates are going to go up. And your conversions will follow.
Yep. Yeah. Everybody make more money. 2025. Right?
That's right. That's right. Everybody's going to be happy. Awesome. I'm so happy that we got a chance to do this. I'm thankful that you were willing to do it because you're opening up your everything to the world. And it's helpful I'm sure you're going to get a ton of good comments from people that you help them today. Because there's other people just like you. They're like, should I do that?
I think it's probably the hardest thing I've ever done, but it is fulfilling in a way that like a lot of other types of work are not. So.
Yeah, you don't regret it, do you?
No, not at all. Actually, my mom sent me a before picture because part of it was also like to take better care of my health, to make my own schedule so I could work out and stuff like that. And yeah, the before and after is pretty dramatic as well. Yeah, so
Really?
it has been a really positive change. Yeah, I don't know how many people are like gonna quit their jobs and start a business and all of that.
Again, thank you so much for this. This was a lot of fun. And even though it was a little longer, I had a blast.
Thank you.
My
Great to
pleasure.
get to know you a little bit better and look forward to talking to you again.
Awesome. I will send over the link after this is all done so you have it and it's uploaded. But I know you're also seeing my YouTube, so.
All right. I'm a subscriber now.
Yes, I got one.
Thank you.
Have
Bye.
a good weekend. Bye.
You too.